All right, everybody. I am so excited today. My name is Dr. Sandra Colton-Medici, and I am here to present the Style Symposium presented by College of Style. Um, this is really exciting because there are 9 guest speakers today, and all of them are really, really talented. They have expertise in fashion, beauty, and leadership. And we are talking today in the Style Symposium about how all of those things impact women in business. So I encourage you, bookmark this video, bookmark wherever it is that you are watching this, whether it's on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or on a replay that may be on YouTube a little bit later. I want to know what you think about all of the things that you're going to hear today. I want to see your hashtag replays. I want to see your comments. And I definitely want you to go to our website at www. If you look at down here, you can see our website, collegeofstyle.com. Register for the Style Symposium. You still have all day today to do that so that you get your free gift just for registering, and so that you get updates about our next program and or workshops that we're offering from College of Style. I am so excited about today and our first guest. I wanted to make sure that I get her introduction properly done. Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Army retired, Miemie Winn Byrd. I should say Dr. Byrd, because she is a professor in the security studies over in Hawaii for the Asia Pacific Center for Security Studies. So she has such vast knowledge, and we are going to begin our Style Symposium with her. And I cannot wait for all of you to hear from all of our distinguished guests. And I want to make sure that I introduce all of them properly before we get through any of any moving forward, so that if you are looking for somebody that you are coming here in particular to watch, we have Dr. Miemie Byrd, like I said, Phoebe Dawson, celebrity makeup artist, Omenaa Boakye, she is a fashion stylist and lifestyle journalist, Roy Haidar, who's a celebrity makeup artist and podcast host of Wake Up to Makeup podcast, Rinnie P Style, she is a personal stylist, Lorane Rhoden, she is the founder and CEO of Haute People, Lisa Hunter, she is actually the founder of Vian Studios. She is a designer and stylist. Pentené Milner, she is the founder of Journey Your Style and a wardrobe healer. And Nikki Dalonzo, who is a photographer and author. And I'm pretty sure I didn't miss anybody, but you will find all of their information to be so on point today. We're talking fashion, beauty, and leadership. And I cannot wait to talk with all of our guests and really pick their brains about how we're going to move the needle in our businesses and how we can use fashion and style and our leadership skills to bring our authenticity out and our individuality to our businesses. So I guarantee you, this is not going to be one of those moments where you're like, oh, I need to go and do something else. Sit right back, enjoy your coffee or tea, whatever it is, get cozy, and I hope that you enjoy all of our guest presenters today. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much for joining me. Dr. Byrd has an extensive career and a lot of twists and turns that we're going to get into. But she is, thank you so much for your service, a veteran of the U.S. military of 28 years. She is retired now, but she still serves in so many different facets. Thank you so much for joining me, Dr. Byrd.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, so we are getting into it today. We're talking about, in the Style Symposium, leadership and as it pertains to business and fashion and beauty and all the different things that I think we as women are utilizing in our personal space to show our confidence, show our expertise, and like we are going to talk about, show our authenticity to really lead by example. So let's get into a little bit about your career. How did you get into the military? Because you left the military as Lieutenant Colonel.
Yes.
And that is a huge deal. So how do you go all the way to that in 28 years? In like, give me like the short version.
Right. Well, I couldn't believe that I rise to the level of Lieutenant Colonel because I never intended to. Initially I came involved with the Army was because, I'm an immigrant. We're an immigrant family. So by the time I went off to college, we just didn't have enough money to send me off to college. So I had to find a way to pay for it, right? So I competed for various scholarships, and the Army ROTC gave me a full scholarship, and which enabled me to go to, the private college, Claremont McKenna College in Southern California, because I grew up, my family immigrated first to, to LA area. So I grew up in LA area, in Fullerton to be exact. So, but anyway, so I ended up, getting involved, and I only did it initially for money, for scholarship. But then when I got involved, I really felt like it really gave me a lot of opportunity to exercise leadership. They teach leadership and exercise leadership. So I stayed, and I'm surprised that, as a scholarship student, I had to give back, at least 4 years, of time. But I stayed 28, so
24 past your intended, right?
That's right.
As far as your travels, and I know that before we hopped on here, you were talking about kind of the multiple hats, different identities that you have had throughout your career. You are currently a professor at the Inouye Center for, I believe, Security Studies, Asia Pacific Center for Security Studies in Hawaii. And so when you think about maybe even teaching, that's a whole different persona sometimes, because you are working with students who all have different learning styles, and you are presenting materials that may not be their favorite thing, right? So making things kind of fit to how people learn it, but also feel like they're retaining it, is a certain skill that you have to kind of develop. So when you think about leading in a classroom, how do you bring out your personal style inside of that?
Right. Well, leadership is also theory and practice, right? And the practice piece is really important, because I think that effective leaders are those who are able to analyze the group of people that you have to lead, and then an environment surrounding it, and adjust accordingly, without losing your authenticity. It's you're adjusting, but still be authentic. How do you do that quickly? More quickly you're able to do it, you're becoming more effective quickly, right? So I think it's back to practice, as in practice, practice, practice. So it's a many years of trial and error. You look at your models, you look at the theory, and then coming together and see, okay, how is all that principle fit with me? And then trying it out. And then when you try out, sometimes it works, and sometimes you learn about, oh, it doesn't quite work. So all these many years of scars and experience that make you effective. So, I think that for me is the experience and trial and error was the key. And of course, being in the military from the very early age, I was able to practice leadership. I was given opportunity to practice leadership. So I was able to hone in on my, that skill of leadership. So when I'm a teacher, it's a different form, and then when I'm leading like a young troops is different, because my teaching job is primarily my students are the mid to senior level military officer, diplomats, all these government officials from Asia Pacific region. Right. So many times they're also second English as a second language. So I always have a special empathy for them, because English is a second language for me. I had to learn as a, much older person. So anyway, so all that come together to, for me to lead my student toward learning, and also, leading in a different context.
I mean, it just seems like when we originally were thinking about this style symposium, a lot of what we do at College of Style is trying to redefine what it means to be a style icon. And so it doesn't just mean I'm a fashion designer. It could mean I am a great professor, or I am a great leader of my troops, like you said. So when you think about something that helps you bring out your own personal style, if you're thinking about the transition from military life to civilian life, how do you juxtapose those two things, or merge the two, if you can?
Right. Well, not just for me, not just being the military and the into civilian, but also I'm originally from Myanmar. I'm a Burmese American, right? So I have my Asian background. So all of that has to come into play, because at the beginning, I want, just like every kid, I just want to be just American, just like everybody else. I don't like being different, right? I see that as a liability. But as I get older, I started to realize that diversity, that unique perspective makes me. And because of that, I'm able to play different role. So, because what I'm doing today is like, I even though I'm a professor, we also are diplomats, because we have to deal with the international audience. And, we are also projecting the American, interest, right? We're not there. DOD, Department of Defense, doesn't give us money so that we can just, well, it does want you, they do want you to, project American interest. So, but now, because I'm a Burmese American, a lot of the time, they identify with me, my student identify. But also, as I was saying, when it's come to style, I don't know if my colleague James said anything, but I wear my Burmese clothes to teach.
Did not. He didn't tell me this.
Yes, because it has become, well, it started because my student from Myanmar started giving me all these fabrics that are like, they have very distinct fabrics. And then some of them started sewing clothes for me. So I in their honor, I started wearing. But then when I started wearing, I felt like, oh my gosh, this is me. I don't have to pretend I'm like other Americans. I'm an American at heart. I definitely am, because I serve, I have signed up to give my life for the protection of this country. But that, when I put on that clothes, it just fits as in like it both symbolically, and also physically fit. And that's when I realized I was able to, that helped me practice more even my authentic leadership. It just fits. When you start, everything fits. Then it just, I don't know, everything fell into place. Yes, everything falls into place. So I was able to do that. Yeah.
That's so great. Okay, so
in Hawaii too. Also, Hawaii is where East meets West, right? On the mainland, I always a little bit feel like I was always an imposter, or I was always outsider looking in. But when I came to Hawaii, this is like, it is still United States, but still has so many Asian flavor. And I just felt in like, it is so comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't even have that level of comfort when I go back to Myanmar. I travel a lot to Myanmar to do a lot of work. And still, I'm not quite, I'm right there. I'm also foreign there, So I was starting to feel like, oh my gosh, I can't fit in anywhere. But then I came to Hawaii, and then Hawaii just gave me that perfect blend of East and West together.
That's great. Now, who she's talking about, let me just break in on this part because Colonel James Minnick, retired, is how we actually connected. And it's so great because we have this USC kind of Trojan bond. We both have attended USC. I did the Doctor of Organizational Change and Leadership, and I think you did the Doctor of Educational Leadership. And so we kind of have this whole Pac-12, symbolism going on.
Yes.
And so,
so am I. I got my EDD from USC.
It's so crazy. We're all connected in all these different ways. And so when he did not tell me that you are wearing, some clothing and items that really help to bring out your authenticity. And what we were talking about earlier is when there are, a lot of business owners now who may or may not have been in the military and kind of go from their day job, let's say, is being in uniform, and then maybe they have like their side gig, and they're working on their own ideas at home, and they're building their own businesses. It's hard sometimes, at least in my head, to think about the transition to maybe turning one thing off and turning something else on, or feeling like there's a separate identity. When we were talking about identities coming into the conversation, it's kind of like, do we, when we take off the uniform, it's still there, right? And so being able to express yourself and say, okay, well, how much room do I have for self-expression while I'm in this uniform? And do people recognize my still sense of authority or leadership or position or role in my on my base or wherever I'm stationed when I'm not in uniform? So how do you kind of transition that if for someone who may be in the military or someone who just wears a uniform to work, whether it's military or not, to then take that off and say, okay, I'm going to do this and show my expression in a different way without feeling like you're minimizing one or the other?
Right. Well, it's like you said, it's still you underneath all that, right? But by changing the clothing, for me, it's like you emphasize certain things, right? You emphasize, but you still are practicing the same authentic self. But I didn't get to that, especially in the military, right? Because majority of my all of my role model are like James, right? A male leaders. So I tried their way of doing things, but it just didn't work. Then after a while, you say, you know what, forget that because it's not working. I'm just going to just go with me. But that I didn't arrive to that until I would say like 15 to 20th year of leading troops, But I was also very lucky because I was recruited when I was a first lieutenant. I was recruited into Special Operation Forces. And special ops is a little bit different than the conventional force. They allow for a lot more flexibility, and they really encourage more entrepreneurial sense. It's a smaller force, and so we will be so I will work with a lot of Navy SEALs and Rangers, and we will travel into an operational environment. And then, I've always worked in Asia. Asia is my area of operation. So when I go in there, they depend on me. They have to depend on me because I'm the expert there. So, because of my expertise, I was able to sometimes lead, right? Without having to, they don't have any choice because they don't know the environment.
Right.
So, having that a little bit of edge is also very helpful. And leadership comes in, the subject matter expertise, right? Depending on the different contexts, like I was saying, and you're able to utilize the context to the best, to benefit you or benefit your to optimize your leadership skill at that moment.
Exactly. And just to kind of highlight a few more things, I know I let you know a little bit about her background at the top, but she has served as a linguist, cultural advisor to the U.S. delegations attending the Association of the Southeast Asian Nations Regional Forum. She has the POW/MIA recovery negotiations in Myanmar, Burma, and Operation Caring Response to Cyclone, I'm going to say this wrong, Nargis, is that right? and U.S. Myanmar Burma human rights dialogue. So when we think about just really getting into the heart of where people are super concerned, like I'm going straight, like let's just talk straight here. When people are concerned about what we wear and who we are through those outfits and through the makeup that we throw on, we are always judged, right? We are always judged when we walk in a room, whether people say they're judgmental or not. It happens. People are like, oh, she does this, or oh, she's never been there, or whatever it is. And when we think about where we come from and how we can exude the confidence to negate all of that, the first impressions of everything, and just really be centered, what is it that you do that you can say as a tip to anybody watching that can just let go of all of that extra and say, do you? What would be your piece of advice or your one tip?
Well, one, I do like if I'm going to do like a public speaking, right, to a large crowd, right, and I do a little breathing exercise, and then there was one time I saw the woman do a stance, right, like a power pose, and that really helps me. For me, like it's like I'm a more of a kinetic person, I guess. So I'm, by doing those, it get me all pumped up, and then I'm able to walk in without any problem. Before then, I was struggling, especially like large crowds and stuff. I started getting nervous, and sometimes I even forget my name, because I was so nervous. So I'm always like, okay, if I remember but now if I remember my name, I'll be fine. But now, going through that, it really is, I don't have, and plus, of course, practice, right? So I think that many times women don't take on a little bit of lean in. Their instinct is like, oh, no, that's too scary, or I don't have enough. I don't have enough of this. I don't have that. I don't have that. And many women focus on what they don't have rather than what they have. And so I realized, and as I was watching my male colleagues, also my male colleagues are always like, they lean in, even though they know half of what I do, what I know, but they just like go in and I don't care what people think. And I'm like, wow, that's really, helpful. So I started thinking, I can't, having those power poses, and I don't care. I know this subject, I know what I know. And if I don't know, I'll just tell them I don't know. And that'll be okay.
Yeah,
that'll be okay.
When we were talking earlier, you mentioned how, there weren't a lot of, let's say, females in higher up positions to actually
Right.
look up to, right? To say, okay, if I'm ascending this ladder, like I'm really reaching, role models that are not looking like me. So when you are thinking about all of the people who are maybe coming after you, who you might be this role model for, right? What are some of the things that you wish or are like wish upon them to start changing the mold a little bit now that you have retired, to say, okay, take that extra step at this point in your career so that the people behind you can have more people to look up to like you?
Right. So I have a really definite incident that one of the young women who just started, I think she's just a second lieutenant, coming to me and she said, I really like the work that I do in the military, but I am really, I don't like the fact that I have to, suppress my desire to be pretty. She wants to put on makeup and all that stuff, and she feel, it's not that military doesn't allow that, but she said she feel pressure not to look feminine. And so I just told her, no, I gave you permission to be feminine, because that's what makes you the best. That's what you are, that makes you authentic. So if you feel like you got to put on makeup and show up, fine, do that. Just do what comes naturally to you. And then when you're leading, do things that are natural. Because for me, I can't say about all the other women, I lead a little bit more of a nurturing way. I like to lead with the, kindness. I like to lead with compassion. I like to lead with empathy. right? And so those are the things that, you know, some of the men may not practice, but that comes to me naturally. So I will do that. You know, I will use
Yeah.
those, right?
Yeah.
But don't feel like you, because many times you're being empathetic or being compassionate in the military, especially, you know, a lot of people, there's a lot of pressure not to be compassionate. You know what I mean? Just suck it up. Just suck it
Just
up,
a
right?
very hard line, right?
Yeah, very hard
Yeah.
line. And to me, that's not me. That's not me. So if I say suck it up, it's not going to look authentic. It's just not going to bode
It won't
well.
all the same, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And people knows that too, you know, so
Yeah.
that they don't follow because they just know this isn't right. It doesn't fit, you know. They feel it, I feel it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, but when I become myself, you know, then I'm able to, I think I'm much more effective leader. But it
Yeah.
may not look like my male colleagues the way they lead. Like, suck
Yeah.
it up, right?
Well, not every male colleague does that either. So, I mean, it really just depends on, in your business, what is the most effective way to, to work with employees, if it's that, or work with troops if it's in the military, to be the most effective. And I think that we're all experiencing kind of a little bit of a shift of how people can manage employees when we are not in the same room, right? When we are logging in instead of just going down the hall and, popping into the office, or saying, hey, spontaneous meeting, and people are like scrambling to, do their hair to get on to a Zoom meeting instead of just already being ready and being in an office. So when you are thinking about kind of the next wave of leadership, and what that looks like, where do you find yourself gravitating towards? Is it people going back to school to really change the way they're practicing leadership? Is it just kind of a self-imposed, like, get your programs together in your own way, kind of like people going inside of themselves and saying, okay, I need to change my outwardly dialogue with my employees because now everybody is at home? Because I think that there's this weird kind of online, do we always have to turn on our camera? Are we better audio only? Like, there's so many things that have changed in the last 2020 and 2021 as far as how we are effectively managing our businesses, employees, all of that in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of like turn down economy, it's starting to ramp up, but like all of those things, what do you see as like the next wave of leadership?
You know, I can't say because this is totally different environment, and I myself is adjusting to it, you know, because I'm a little bit older than you, and prior to this, I haven't really done any type of online virtual teaching or learning or anything like that. We were all focused on face to face, right? So for me, it's a new environment, and I'm still struggling as well to trying to find the sweet spot. You know, where's that sweet spot? So I just need more time. I think we just need more time. Again, back to practice, right? Even if it is something that works for somebody else, it may not work for you directly, cut and paste. You know, you might have to make some adjustment because you're different, and the people that you're leading are different in the different contexts. You know what I mean? So all of that has to come together. So, but as you get more leadership experience of leading people, you know, you're able to adjust faster. That's the whole point, is your ability to adjust. How long is it going to take for you to adjust to the new environment and new context? And I think in a way I think I was really fortunate because in the military, we change jobs all the time. And so we're giving all this different environment to practice our leadership. So you have to find a way to quickly analyze the environment that you are in and then bring out the style that you need. You know, what kind of style that is closest to who you are.
Exactly. That is a great, I didn't even think about how many times you probably do transition from one position to the next? If you are, I mean, you were in for 28 years, so obviously you've had that changeover. How many jobs do you think you've had in 28 years?
Oh my gosh, I can't even count. I can't even. So sometimes I'm in a context where I'm the expert, so it's easy to lead. But in some contexts, I am not. So I have to figure out leading from behind as a supportive leader, right? So sometimes you're like leading in the front, sometimes you have to lead from the behind, sometimes you lead from the side, because you want the people to take on for me, the biggest thing is I want ownership. I want people to take ownership. So I have to find a way for them to take ownership. So sometimes, because of that, when I'm the expert, it can be quite dangerous because I will lead, right? I'm like, I know it all. And so just do what I said, I mean, it could be difficult.
Yeah.
It could be difficult for me to get down to like, let people own it so that they will do it.
Yeah.
So
that's a great point, is to, when you are leading, you're owning that space. You are owning, your expertise, your, plan of action, your strategy, whatever it is that you're putting out there. So what is it that was attracted you to the teaching side of what you do now? Because you had a chance to just say, bye-bye, I'm getting out, I'm going home or wherever, I'm going on vacation. And then you were like, I think I'll do this other thing. So what attracted you to that?
Well, it's a funny story. When I show up at the Pacific Command headquarters to work on the war on terrorism, I was specifically working the issue of a part of the team that are working in the southern Philippines, where the terrorists are, Abu Sayyaf group. So when I got there, I listened. There are like 30 of us, and I think I'm one of the 2 women there out of the 30 men, right? They're talking and talking. They're talking about we're going to kick the door down, and kill them, and then I started listening, and then also we were interviewing some of the captured terrorists, and they said, one of the reasons they joined was because they didn't have any jobs. They went to the Armed Forces of the Philippines and to get a job, and they said, no, we don't take you. And then the terrorists came on, like, you want to serve? Come on in. So I thought, our counterterrorism strategy is missing the economic piece. So when I present that, everybody laughed at me. This was back in 2003. And so when they started laughing at me, I said, you know what? I need to change their mindset. So I started researching and writing in the military journals to change their mindset. So when it does reach people. And so our latest counter insurgency operation manual has some of my ideas in it.
Nice.
And then when I came on active duty, the Asia Pacific Center for Security Studies saw some of my publication, and they had invited me to come and teach there. So when I got there, right, but then I never taught, Yeah, I work with people. I teach basic class, because I was a leader, so leaders always teaching something, right? But I never knew formally how to teach. So that's when I went back to school at USC, educational leadership, to learn more about how do people learn, so that I can be an effective teacher. So that's how I ended up in teaching, but I didn't mean to go into that field deliberately.
I think everything kind of just, it's a happy accident though, right? And so it's just, it's one of those job changes, right? That you mentioned so eloquently earlier, that we just evolve. And I think that is a great evolution. What's your next? What's after this? I know that you've done so much, and I can't even imagine, you're probably exhausted, but what are you going to do after maybe this whole teaching stint?
Well, right now I'm involved with helping the Burmese population. As you know, Miemie had a military coup in February 1st of this year. So people are hurting, people are suffering, and there's a movement to restore democracy in Miemie. So I'm trying to help out as much as I can. as people needed help, so I'm involved with that. So
Your
so
work
that's going to
never
take
stops. I can imagine. You are so kind to offer your time, your expertise. I have learned so much, not just about you, but just as far as being able to be a more authentic leader, no matter what uniform you have on, no matter when you take it off, and how you project your confidence is so key to making sure that you have success in your business, in your life, in your health, all of that stuff. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for joining us on the Style Symposium. I am joined by the lovely Phoebe Dawson, celebrity makeup artist. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited because I see your stuff on Instagram and all over the internet, and we haven't had a chance to talk in a little while. So what have you been up to lately?
Well, so 2021 has really been great, and it's been really, really busy. Being a makeup artist in the entertainment industry. Productions are really back. They're figuring out how to navigate during these times and really being careful with protocols and things like that. So I've been really busy. I feel like all the artists and musicians I worked with that didn't do things last year, this year they're just dying to create and put content out there and make music. And so this year has been really creative and really busy. So it's been amazing.
Yes, and she is a very humble businesswoman. She has done the faces of many of the stars that you know. I'm just going to name one, Mike Tyson, because I just think anybody who's touching his head and his face has got to have like the fingers of like glow. So I know that you have worked with so many on the, like the entertainment side of things, but you have navigated a little bit into this makeup tutorial classes online. You're doing a lot of offering for, people who aren't necessarily celebrities, right?
Yeah, so during the pandemic, the industry kind of shut down, and that was really my business was very much in person and as a makeup artist working in entertainment. So I was just kind of sitting at home and my industry was closed, and I really loved doing makeup, and it was very difficult to not be able to do what you love and not be able to do it in person. So I decided to do some makeup lessons, and it was kind of scary in the beginning because I was like, is anyone gonna take them? What, is anyone even interested? And then all these ladies wanted to do them, and it actually kept me really busy. And I did some group classes and also individual classes, and I really found that from younger women in their 20s to also women up to their like 50s, 60s, and 70s really loved the lessons. And it was very emotional and personal doing these lessons because women would be in their 60s and no one had given them permission that it was okay to actually spend time to make yourself look beautiful and feel beautiful. And they felt like when they grew up, it was kind of selfish to take that time, and especially when you have kids and all these different things, you're catering to everyone else around you. So some people, cried and got emotional, and they would share in the makeup group classes that it was just so nice to like have permission to feel beautiful and to put effort into your beauty, and that was okay. And I didn't even realize women were feeling that. So it was really cool.
That's awesome. I know that there's so many times when, we're working online and we're doing these Zoom meetings or a go-to meeting or whatever the platform is, and you're not necessarily in person. So you have to think, okay, what's my balance here? They know I'm at home, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, okay, so from here up, I'm doing the thing, right? And so when you think about some of the evolution of makeup trends between super, early on in the pandemic to now, we're kind of, easing our way back in person. Where do you see us, stepping out into, full glam again? Are we like kind of there? I think a lot of people over the 4th of July were like, whoa, we get to go somewhere, right? So where do you see kind of that like transformation? Are we fully back? What do you think?
I feel like We're not fully back, but I think women and people are so excited to go out, and if they feel okay being out and things like that, to put on a red lip or do up their eyes or wear a cute outfit, or I think that, you know, the first time I went out for dinner in months, to wear heels and wear a cute dress, and it's a balance of, I love the days where I have yoga pants and I don't do my hair, or I'm wearing a cap. But then there's also those days that you want to do your hair and you want to do full makeup, and it feels so nice to get all dressed up and feel beautiful, and it makes you more motivated, and it just really changes how you feel. And I think wearing dresses or a skirt or a cute outfit, putting on something nice, it really makes a difference. So I think people are really excited to do that now that the world is opening and people are out and about. And even for Zoom, you know, from here up, I totally have sweats on from waist down, but it's nice to, like, you know, get dressed up a little bit and put some makeup on and spray some perfume on and just look good for yourself.
Exactly. And I know that, you know, you've worked on everything from red carpets to the Oscars to, I was just actually looking through some of your music videos with like Bruno Mars, which was just recently with this whole Silk Sonic movement, right? To Weezer, to one of my new favorites, Skylar Stecker, and just enhancing what they already have. So when you think about, you know, business owners who are working, you know, day and night on their business, and this is the last thing that they're kind of like focused on, what is something that you would say is just a quick tip in the morning that you could do to just enhance what you already have?
Yeah, I think for business owners, you know, and entrepreneurs, we're so busy, we're hustling, but it makes such a difference for yourself if you can just curl your eyelashes, put on some mascara. Cream blush is great, a little concealer, if you have good skin, but it just helps the under eye area, or put on a fun lipstick. Like, Sandra, you look gorgeous with a red lip or a bright pink, or if you do just mascara and then put a lip on, it can look so beautiful. Or if you're out wearing sunglasses, but you put on a lip. So just little things like that, where it's either playing out the eyes or playing out the lips a little bit, it just makes such a difference. And then you feel better. It's like the same with your outfit and how you dress as well too. It makes a difference on how you feel.
Definitely. Now, let's say, because I want to know what you did for these dancers, because I am a dancer back in the day, but you worked with some of the J-Lo dancers. Now, knowing that they are going to be sweating, right? What is something that is maybe a product or just a technique that if you are, you know, going to be out all day, something that's going to last for you to still look good from 9 in the morning until 5 at night, where you're not going back to reapply?
Yeah, and it's definitely important, especially with those music videos, as you know, with dancing and sweating. And if you're in LA recently, it's just been so hot and sweaty. Yeah, so I would say it's definitely the application. It's it's the application and the right product. So using products that are long lasting. So I really like the MAC Studio Fix foundation. It's waterproof and sweatproof. So really using something like that for if you're going to be on camera or you want your makeup to last a little longer. And then for the application, I really love the Beauty Blender sponge. And so I'll use a full coverage foundation that's waterproof, sweatproof, has some sunscreen, and then I'll really press it into the skin with the Beauty Blender, because on these music videos, we get a lunch break, but you're really shooting quick and you're on a time crunch and you have to get the shots. So the touch-up time is extremely limited, and you may just have time to like touch up lips or eyes. So it really, really has to last.
Exactly. So we are about to be in the middle of this kind of fall fashion frenzy. Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, I like that.
Right? Because we're going into September, October, November, right? We're going into all this change. What are some of the colors that you see that are, you know, whether you've already worked on something that is going to come out in the fall that you're like, oh, this is hot, or something that you are just predicting as a trend to be something that we should all be looking at for the fall?
I would say I really love like the orange burgundy eyeshadow colors, and I use those a lot, and I think they're really pretty. Or even more of like the red purpley shades. Those are really fun and pretty to play with, to go with kind of the fall colors. And then also as far as lipsticks as well. And then peachy tones are always super flattering. Generally on every skin tone, peach is really, really flattering, especially for blush. It just gives you kind of a youthful glow. Yeah, so those are the colors that I find I do use a lot, and they are kind of universal for a lot of skin tones.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And I'm going to be using your recommendations. What do you think when you think about leadership and being in a business for yourself? Because you're kind of the finance manager, you're the marketing guru, you're the HR lady, right? Like you are all of those things in one. So what is something that you can say has really kind of kept your business really running, that you either do on a daily basis or that you outsource because it's not your thing? What is one of those things?
I really love that question because it is so true. Being an entrepreneur is really, really challenging, especially if you're dealing with the customer and then also you're billing and invoicing them, and that can be difficult. But I'm really specific with everything, and I really like to be hands-on. So I actually do most of the things myself, like as far as invoicing, my website, managing everything. But I feel like one thing that's really helped me is every single morning I get up, no matter what time, if I have to get up at 4 a.m. or whatever, I wake up really early and I do a gratitude list and I meditate. And I just take 5 minutes after I do my gratitude list to kind of meditate and just really like ground myself for the day and just be grateful, and also set an intention to kind of have a great day. And I feel like that really helps me no matter how insane my day is or my hours or my schedule, which really is crazy. It just kind of helps set the tone to like be present and peaceful and kind of deal with things that come up, because they always do, in a peaceful, like grounded way. So that's made the biggest difference in my career.
I think it's so important that what you just said, that you take a moment for yourself, right? And it's not just, oh, myself financially, but it's really just myself, right? Doing
Yeah.
what I think self-care is a phrase that we've kind of heard come into the vernacular over and over again. But it really is true that in order to feel like you're getting somewhere, you kind of have to have that sort of inner peace, self-reflection too, to look at where you've come from. I think a lot of times we are so hard on ourselves as business owners, and that we look at it like, oh, we have to get to this next spot. And you're like, look at how far we've come, right? Look at where we our meager beginnings, whatever those might be. So where exactly do you see beauty going? Because I think that a lot of times I hear the words clean beauty. I hear, non-toxic, right? Obviously, we hear a lot of these terms, but or even some of the vegan elements to beauty skincare lines. So what do you think is is it a trend? Is it something we should all be kind of like, hey, we should all go clean? Where do you see that going?
I really hope that is where it's going, and I think it really is. And I think a lot of brands are really conscious and aware that if they aren't vegan and cruelty-free and clean, they are going to lose a lot of customers, because people are very aware. They can research, they can look that up now. They know which brands are really certified clean, because there's also in marketing, they can say, oh, we're a clean product, but they could still have a lot of chemicals in there, but they have a small amount of clean ingredients. So I think it definitely is going in that direction. I think also people are caring more about like what they put on their skin, and caring more about, and I think brands are getting better. A few years ago, or even a while ago, even recently, some of the clean products, they don't stay as well, or the pigment isn't as strong. So now brands are really getting aware of like moving in that direction, but also like making the product really good and making it blendable and making it stay, which is really, really important too, especially for us makeup artists.
I think that's really great. And just so you know, she doesn't just do makeup. She is also a men's groomer, and she's global. So if you have an event that you are looking to work with her on, or potentially take her classes, make sure you go. I'm so plugging you right now. You can see a lot of what she's been doing on her Instagram page, which is at Phoebe Makeup. And what do you have in the works that, or maybe you can't tell us, I should say that, because I feel like a lot of times there's things that nobody can say. I feel like that's like every Beyonce project. But
Yes.
what do you have coming up in the next, I don't know, say 3 to 6 months?
Well, working in this industry, you book a lot of gigs last minute, and then when you work on things, I sign a lot of NDAs. So say I work on something yesterday, which is a music video, so I can't post or talk about it, and it may not come out. And sometimes you think, oh, it's going to come out in a month, but sometimes it gets delayed 6 months, and you're on this timeline. So, but I have a lot of exciting projects coming out that I can't really talk about, but a lot of cool videos and editorials and cool things coming out. And I think too, it's exciting because the world's opening up. So I'm hoping to get back into traveling for gigs more. So that will be really exciting. And then Skylar, I'm hoping at some point she'll go on tour, which I would love to go on tour with her and create all her looks for her tours and do some really fun looks. So that's definitely, hopefully within the next 6 to 12 months.
That's awesome. I so thank you for joining me. This has been so much fun. And if you want to make sure that you go, you'll see on the bottom, her website is listed there, and you can always follow her work on Instagram. Thank you so much. And we will see you on the next segment.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Style Symposium. I am Dr. Sandra Colton-Medici, and I'm joined today by one of my good friends. I'm so excited to talk to her today. She is on the East Coast right now, but she is super global. Her name is Omenaa Boakye, and she is a fashion stylist and lifestyle journalist, the best person to talk about what we're talking about today. So thank you for joining me.
No, thank you for having me, Sandra.
Yes, of course. Well, so we actually, if you haven't had a chance to listen to it, go back to the Sweet Bites with Sandra podcast. She is one of my earliest guests on that podcast as well. And she has some fun tidbits about social media on there too. But today we're talking about fashion and beauty and leadership and how that impacts women in business. And so she has done so many things, whether it's being featured and her work in Style, Stylist, BBC News. I mean, she's done it. I think Martha Stewart, I remember you were working with her at one point. So she's been around the block as far as being with high profile celebrities and also, creating some of the looks that I know that we all didn't even know we were following at the time. So when you think about some of the trends that we are going to either see in the fall or might kind of start peaking, in about 2022, in the beginning of 2022, what do you think we should be looking for?
Oh, there's so many great trends coming up this fall, I would say. One that I particularly love is mono chic. So you're literally wearing, one color, but I mean, it's not plain Jane. When I say one color, it's kind of, you might think quite plain, but you can make it fun. So if I'm, for example, today I'm wearing polka dots, but if I was wearing all red, I would be wearing a red shoe, I would be wearing a red hat, so I'd be wearing a red bag. So it's really making this color, making the most of the color that you're wearing and wearing it with your accessories, wearing it for literally your accessories from your shoes to your handbag, just making the most of that one color. That's a big trend. Glitz is another big trend for fall. So think sequins, think, patent, think, just literally glitzy. Anything that you see is sparkly is a big trend for fall. So that's something that you can add. And it's not necessarily wearing it all over. So you could go with a glitzy top, you could do glitzy pants, you could even do like a sparkly shoe. So that's something that you can add in. What's another big trend? Military is another trend for fall. So if you think khakis, if you think like aviator jackets, that kind of thing. So anything that kind of falls into that sort of military theme, that's another big trend for fall as well. So a lot of exciting things to look forward to.
I have a lot to buy then because I have none of that in my closet.
I've probably got military, and I've probably definitely got things of all sorts of colors. I love color. So yeah, probably 2 trends that I can pull off.
Definitely. Well, so I know that in our conversation with different people inside of this Style Symposium event, we are talking about women in business specifically. And so I actually posed this question to you right before we got on. And I said, you know, what elements can people, can women use in fashion to move forward their authenticity in business? And that could be anything, you know, whether it's their personality and something that they want to bring out, or in fashion. So where do you fall in there, as far as something you could give as far as a tip for women to use their fashion to project their authenticity in business?
I think it's really important to dress for where you're going. So for example, if you're going to a meeting, I'm not saying put on a suit, but I'm saying, you know, look smart. You're not going to go in, you know, trainers or sneakers and track bottoms. If you're going to a cocktail party for a certain launch of something, you know, put on a cocktail dress kind of. And, you know, I like bright colors. So I like to not necessarily stand out, but I like to go against the grain. So I'm not going to necessarily wear black to a cocktail party. At the same time, I think it's important to be your authentic self. So don't overdo it. Like, don't just go in yellow for the sake of it. But I think definitely dress for the occasion. And I think that can help you along the way.
Perfect. Well, so where do you draw inspiration? Because as you're, you know, maneuvering through, whether it's your personal style that you're, you know, talking about trends, you know, as a writer, or you are creating different things, different looks for different people that you're working with, where do you pull that inspiration from if it's not something that you're given, you know, like not something like, hey, we have to stick with this, but you're kind of given that like freedom to say, go and create? Like where do you find your inspiration from then?
You know, I think I draw inspiration from so many places. I live in New York, and there I step out of my apartment and there's amazing people dressed amazingly all around me. So I think I definitely draw inspiration from people that I see on the streets. I also draw inspiration from street style. So, you know, I'm constantly flicking through Instagram. You know, I follow different influencers, kind of looking at what they're wearing. And then also from the runway shows. So I always like to see, as I was saying, what trends are coming up, what are designers doing on the runway? How can I interpret that into my style or into the styling that I'm doing?
Well, so speaking of this, and I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but you brought something up about the runway shows. And during the pandemic, there was kind of this like, how do we have a runway show without having an audience or having a, you know, a real show? And, you know, you saw like animation, you saw like, I remember I saw kind of like, I don't know if it was like dolls at one point for one designer. How do you think that's going to kind of evolve? Do you think that runway shows will stay traditional, or will they infuse some of what that kind of like landscape of online inventiveness that we kind of saw during the pandemic and keep that element as well?
Yeah, I think for fall coming up, there's a lot of shows that are in person again, which is nice. I'm not sure if I'm going, but you know, it is nice. And I think, you know, going back to last year when we were in a pandemic, or we kind of still are, I suppose, but when all the shows were virtual and people were doing presentations online, I think so many designers learned from that and realized that, you know, it's just as effective. You know, people are watching online. You can almost actually pull a larger audience, because obviously when shows are in person, the capacity is limited, you know, and there's certain people who need to be on the front row, and only so many people can be on the front row. There can only be so many people standing. However, when you have a virtual platform, you can actually pull a larger audience. So I think there are a lot of pros and cons to having it virtually. Again, that in-person aspect of actually really seeing how clothing is moving, really being able to see, you know, exactly what it's made of, and just generally the atmosphere, even, you know, just really being able to see what the designer is trying to interpret to those who are attending the show. Maybe there are some elements that you lose when it is virtual, but there's also a lot that you gain. So I think going forward, maybe designers will try and weigh up, you know, the pros and cons and see what they can implement and you know, what will work for them in terms of grabbing their audience.
Yeah, I mean you brought up so many things as far as like how it moves and just the ambiance, like you said, like rubbing your shoulder next to whoever that is in the front row, like that kind of drama isn't always transmitted like we are right now with our drama online. So what do you think are some tips that you know of that would help people who don't consider themselves to be really stylish? There's a lot of people who kind of just wear the same thing all the time because they don't want to go outside of their comfort zone, but maybe need to develop their own personal style. What's kind of the first step for someone who is trying to figure that out?
I think I always recommend like thinking of a celebrity that you like. I don't know who that might be for yourself, but then kind of seeing, how they style themselves, what are they wearing? And maybe if they have a similar shape, maybe seeing how you can wear similar things. That's almost like having your own stylist, because all these celebrities are styled by someone. So yeah, if there's someone that you particularly admire, just kind of looking at the kind of things they wear, how they're putting it together, and see if you can implement that into your style.
I love that, because they do all have someone styling them, unless you are Stella McCartney or you know what I mean, or someone who like the row, you've got the sisters who are just impeccable. But I do think that that's a great step, is to just look at who you gravitate toward, because they are being styled. And so it's kind of like having a free stylist, already at the ready. So what do you think as far as when you are working? Because, as a lifestyle journalist, like you are constantly working with different editors. And so you have kind of this body of work, but you had to start somewhere too. And so you're kind of like a small business, if you will. So where did you kind of see yourself kind of making a transition as far as being a leader in your industry?
I think so you put it correctly. I didn't start out where I am now, and I think I started by assisting people. I'd done a ton of internships, and during that time I worked with some great leaders. I was really able to admire them, really able to see their workflow, really able to see their process, and that taught me. And I think for where I am now, it really kind of taught me the leadership skills that I want to have, and how I want to be a leader, from seeing these people, from seeing even mentors and people that I look up to. It was really just observing the skills that I saw that they had and that I liked.
Well, so in fashion, it's kind of, it's not necessarily like the blatant out there thing, but we all know that there have been way more people who have kind of advanced their fashion career in certain categories. And, women probably are, I would say second in line, and minorities probably third in line in that kind of vein, as far as like when you think about like minority models and Tyra Banks or whomever that kind of like paved the way, Iman and things like that, or people like that. And so when you think about really solidifying yourself in a fashion industry, if that's like your career goal, what makes you stand out more than other people? Like, what skill do you think that you possess that other people still need to kind of like get in their bag?
That I possess personally, I don't know if I possess it. I would like to think I do, but I think it's really important to be individual. It's really important to possess individuality. You don't want to be a clone. Even when you're writing, you don't want to be writing things that are out there that everyone already knows. Really thinking, okay, how can I make this article different? What can I bring to this? Even if it's a topic that everyone knows about, what can I personally bring to this article that's different? And again, that goes for styling, being individual in that sense. So how can I style something to really make it capture people's eyes, to really make it different? Even if the client says, we just want a red dress, what kind of different red dress am I going to bring that's really going to work in this advertising campaign, that's really going to make it pop? So I think it's really always trying to bring a sense of individuality to any project that you'll put on.
Definitely. And that really goes into what we've been talking about recently, is digital marketing. And I know that's a huge stretch, but it really does come down to two things that people are trying to figure out these days, which are Instagram Reels and TikTok, because a lot of people are like, I don't know what to do. And you basically just gave people a roadmap. Take what you know and what is out there, which is all of those trending audio and sounds and stuff like that, and put your own spin on it and make it you, make your individuality stand out. And I think a lot of people think, oh, well, that sounds so easy. And I'm like, it is, if you just put yourself out there. And I think that that's part of the problem holding a lot of people back, whether it's in styling themselves, moving forward in their business, whatever it might be, is that it's hard to take that first step. So what kind of things do you do to get over that, like, fear of, like, whether it's rejection or, you know, I'm not going to be good enough at this, whatever? What are the things that you have used to overcome that kind of feeling?
I think confidence is key. And I think even if you do get a rejection, you know, in something, it can propel you to something else, if that makes sense. So for example, you know, someone might tell me no in a certain situation, but then I'm going to try something else. And ultimately realizing that even if you are getting rejections for any particular thing, that it's not final, that you will, you know, eventually reach your end goal, because it's still pushing you. So I think perseverance is also key.
Yes. Well, so my last question for you, because we could talk all day long about all the great things that you've done, but I want to know, who are some of the designers that, you know, maybe we should be following on social media to kind of see maybe they're breaking through and they're not necessarily well known, or maybe they are staples that we should already be following on social media, and why those people are making waves in the industry?
Oh God, there's so many that I love. Do you know, when it comes to clothing, I love drama. So I love big shoulders. I love, you know, exaggeration. And I think someone who's really getting that right, particularly for their fall collection coming up, is Christopher John Rogers. I don't know if you've seen his collection, but you know, he has a lot of drama at the moment. So he has the big shoulders, you know, the exaggerated hips, and I love all of that. So that's someone I love. Who else? I think Agua by Agua Benedita. So she's a Colombian designer and she does sustainable wear. And another thing I love is Prince. And her clothing is absolutely amazing. She has some really amazing prints and dresses. So she's someone else that I love. And a newer designer, well, not necessarily that new, but maybe not so well known, is Sukenia. That's another designer that I really like. So he's a Black designer. It's spelled Sukeina. And again, the clothing just has drama, and that's probably why I love it. So again, you know, larger pockets, exaggeration to the hips, exaggeration, you know, maybe a smaller waist, and then kind of exaggerated A-line skirts and things like that. So as you see, I love drama, and any designer that kind of has an exaggerated element, but also, you know, something that's different. You know, I'm not looking for something that's plain. I like clothing that kind of stands out.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I know that you were busy, and we got you for this very, very short interview. So thank you so much. And for everybody watching the Style Symposium, make sure to Google her. She's got articles everywhere online that you can partake and support. And I definitely know that you'll be seeing her style, and you probably won't even know it's her style, but celebrities everywhere are rocking her looks. So thank you so much, Omenaa, for joining me, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Welcome back to the Style Symposium. My name is Dr. Sandra Colton-Medici, and I am here joined by designer stylist Lisa Hunter of Vian Studios. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, so we have a lot to talk about today because in the Style Symposium, we are covering fashion, beauty, leadership, and all things encompassing female empowerment for entrepreneurs and small business owners. And so you kind of encompass quite a few. You tick a lot of these boxes. And so let's talk about your journey as a designer and a stylist first, and then we'll get into a lot of other topics.
Yeah. Well, I toured the fashion design school at age 18 in San Francisco, and I was just awestruck by it. And I knew I was not ready for it. So I waited, and instead I worked in retail. And I went on my journey. I got married, I had babies. And 20 years later, I went back to the same school and I registered. I was 36 years old. I got my fashion design degree at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. I was like the old one there in my late 30s. And after I graduated, I launched a clothing line and opened a retail store in Palo Alto, California. And I had my retail line for 10 years, a retail store and clothing line. And it was very much Audrey Hepburn influenced, like late 50s, early 60s, very feminine, a lot of little black dresses. And yeah, so that was an amazing experience. I participated in fashion shows. And after 10 years of doing that, I decided to have a break from manufacturing and the brick and mortar. So I went to work at Nordstrom as a personal stylist. And that was my first time really doing personal styling like that. And I loved it. I learned so much about virtual styling, well, in the last year and a half. And working with the transgender community. Also, that's where I got inspired to help out that community, which is one thing I'm doing now. So last month, I decided to launch my own businesses, and I have launched Vian Studios Personal Styling and also Bell River Clothing. So I've launched a new clothing line, which is this time not so much late 50s, early 60s. It's more linen, easy breezy, stylish tops and denim jackets, and just totally different.
I love it though. You have an eclectic amount of, you've got your own sense of purpose. And I think that is really important when we're thinking about getting our authenticity to show, and also just bringing out some of the elements that maybe a lot of people don't see, the flavor that we have. And I think that if you were giving the Audrey Hepburn before, and now you're giving kind of easy breezy, linen, that's all part of you, and so I always emphasize when we're thinking about personal style and bringing it out, is that you might have a lot of different flavors, and today your flavor is,
absolutely
vanilla or swirl or whatever. So
yes,
exactly.
we don't stay the same. We're not the same style throughout our lives. It's just not. When I go back and I look at what I did 15 years ago, that's just not who I am now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and so many people that are moving their businesses forward, like you, just starting two brand new, entities. I think it's really great to understand that the evolution is very important. A lot of times we go into business and, you start before you're ready, right? And as you go, you're like, oh, I think I need to lean into this. I think I need to do more of this. People are gravitating to this side of it. So let's kind of do a little bit more of that. So when you think about how your style or your point of view, how would you describe your own personal style?
I want to say I'm an extreme minimalist. I really, I tell my clients I'm a fashion designer and I am a stylist. I'm a wardrobe consultant, and I have no tolerance getting dressed in the morning. It's got to be just fast. I have so many things I want to do during the day besides duking it out in my closet. So I am just really a minimalist. I happen to really like black, and black makes it easy to get dressed, and I just feel like it looks good on me. But I am, with the pandemic and changes in the world, changes in fashion, I am working more color into my wardrobe now. But I am also sort of a split personality, as I think we all kind of are. I have that edgy side where I like Rick Owens, and I like, I used to like Jean-Paul Gaultier, and, but I like kind of black, gothy, edgy stuff. But then I also have the super feminine side, and I just love feminine clothing. So I think we all kind of have that split. There are times when we go one direction, and there are times when we go another direction.
Exactly.
I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, you did. You so did. Well, so your direction actually led you to fashion star. So can you talk about this experience a little bit, and maybe how it might have shaped where you have, now landed?
Yeah. Fashion Star was a great experience. I tried out for Project Runway and I made it very far. I met Tim Gunn and that whole thing. And then it came down to me. And again, I was in the old lady category. I was 40 something at that time. And so they picked the other woman. I ended up on a casting list. And I got a notice from NBC that they're launching this new show called Fashion Star, and it's about the business of fashion. And it just really intrigued me because I'm not so much interested in the Project Runway is really fun because of the drama. But personally, I would rather not be involved in that. And so Fashion Star was about designing clothes, and then Saks Fifth Avenue and H&M would bid on it, and Macy's would bid on the items. And then the winner would actually, those stores would produce your item and sell them in the stores. And that just, I thought that was great. It was Jessica Simpson and Nicole Richie and John Varvatos. And so I made it on the show and they sent me to LA and I was there for 2 weeks. It was like the opposite of Project Runway. Like we were in a nice hotel. We all had our own rooms and there was just maybe that's why the show only lasted a few seasons, because there just wasn't extreme drama. But it was just the most amazing experience. And Macy's bought my dress and they produced it, and my dress sold out in 2 hours. Before the show even aired on the West Coast, the dress was gone.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it was really neat. I ended up going to New York. I went to Macy's and there was one lone dress in the store and I bought it. It was so interesting buying your own dress someone else manufactured. But yeah, I can't really say how that shaped me. It was an amazing experience. It felt like a once in a lifetime experience. To be walking onto a huge TV set, and it was incredible. But I went home and we weren't, because I was on the first season and it hadn't aired, I wasn't allowed to talk about it for 8 months. And that was challenging. So I just went about my business and yeah.
Oh, well, I do think that I mean, I've been on a reality TV show too, so I get it. We were sequestered. I couldn't talk about it either.
Yeah.
But after a while, people started like going, oh, these are the people getting kicked off every week. That's the process, right? They like kind of put 2 and 2 together. Well, so you mentioned that you like getting dressed quickly in the morning. So what would you say for anybody watching are some quick dressing tips?
Yeah. Number 1 is like, take the stuff out of the closet that doesn't fit. It's just, nothing is more stressful than looking at those pieces that are in your closet that don't fit. I had a pair of pants in my closet for, I don't know how long, maybe a year, because I just was thinking, well, I might fit back into them someday. And then finally I just knew, like, this is just not happening. I'm just out with them. So just taking the things out that don't fit. And then when you take them out, there's 2 choices. It's, do you want to save it for later or do you want to get rid of it? And I have my clients start a bin called the maybe later bin, things that you want to hold on to, but you don't want to be looking at them every day. So they go in a bin, you put maybe later on it, or revisit in 6 months, put a date for, and just get it out. And then what's left, well, that's another story, but want to have the things tailored that don't fit. That's really important.
Awesome. I think that when you're thinking about the morning, our mornings have changed, right? Where we have a lot of people not getting dressed to go to work. Or maybe just getting dressed from the top up because they're only on camera from that, vantage point.
Yeah, it's even easier.
And then that's even easier. Exactly. So what would you say for, for even business owners who are doing a lot of, Zooming or, GoToMeeting or whatever the conference platform is, to put their best foot forward when they are styling themselves, but they know that the person on the other end knows they're at home. Should we all be dressing up? Should we all be comfortable? Should we kind of be that happy medium? What would be your advice?
Yeah, you know, it's what brings you joy. I know there are companies, they don't give a crap what you're wearing. There's a lot of, you know, schlumpy stuff going on. It just doesn't, some companies just don't care what you're wearing from home. But if it makes you feel better to look nicer and put on lipstick, whatever it is, then go for it. Absolutely. I have a client who we basically worked on her closet and just made it so it's all Zoom friendly clothes, and just moved the gowns out. The gowns are not being worn right now, for the most part, you know, moving the stuff out of the closet that we're not wearing right now and just have it be Zoom friendly. And but I think now it's time to start having fun with fashion a little bit. I think we've had our hunker down phase. We've been in our sweats, all that. And, you know, go for the hot pink top, go for a new lipstick, you know, for something fun, and change it up. And, you know, a lot of companies said they were going back to the office this fall, and now they're changing to January. And, so yeah, it's time to find some fun things in the closet, I think.
Definitely. And I think that everybody has that one thing that like gives them joy. And you remind me of like Marie Kondo, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
does this spark joy, right?
Yes.
And when you are looking at some of the things that you've done, we just had a conversation about completing projects. And I think that one of the biggest things that we don't do is the closet. And so you help people get that together. I think that is a really big project that a lot of people don't want to tackle.
Takes a village.
Right? We have a lot of closets in here. And, you know, some of them, the biggest one that I have that has nothing to related to actual clothing is the toy closet. Now, that's because there's missing pieces and Ziploc bags and broken boxes and things like that. And so when you're organizing other people, now, where do you find is like your sweet spot? Is it getting bins together? Is it boxing it up? Is it giving them the opportunity to label things the way they want to? Or are you giving them kind of like the lay of the land, like this needs to be, labeled this way, so you know? Because when we were talking about the, completing projects, like I know that if I'm in the closet and I'm like, I'm going to put this here because it's a safe space. Right. And then you're like, where did I put that? I know it was in the right, you know what I mean? So how do you get?
Well, I recommend bins. I have a client who has a lot of closets. And so that's great. She has her resort clothing and her, Hawaii type stuff, summer stuff in a separate closet. That's the summer closet. A lot of people don't have that. And so I recommend bins. I think the bin system is great. I have bins. It's like, I have fall 1. I have the bin that says fall 1. That's like September, October. And then I have the fall 2, kind of winter bins, what's like November, December, January, February. And just, I don't have that stuff hanging in my closet until it's that season. Or then there's the maybe later stuff, the stuff that doesn't fit, that, I don't want to get rid of. And that goes in maybe later. So it kind of depends on your closet situation. What your storage situation is. But I have a client who has a room that's a closet. She transformed a small room into a closet. And even she uses a bin system and just gets the stuff out of there that she's not currently wearing and has it in wardrobe boxes.
That's awesome. Where do you stand on skinny mirrors?
Skinny mirrors?
Like when you go to a Nordstrom, let's say, and there's a dressing room and you have a mirror. How often are you advising of the people that you're styling to get in that mirror, right? Because I think a lot of people have a negative connotation of what the mirror is. It's either, reaffirming that you have done one thing or not affirming that you have done something else. So where do you stand on mirrors?
I mean, when my mom was in her 60s, 70s, she took all the mirrors out of her first floor of the house And she said, I feel so young inside, and I look in the mirror and I don't see what I feel like. So she got rid of them. But we do need to have a mirror. We do need to have a mirror. And so I think we need to have a full length mirror. Everyone should have a full length mirror in their bedroom area, closet, whatever, to see what the outfit is head to toe. But I think, yeah, the goal is to have outfits that you can put on quickly that make you happy. And when you look in the mirror, you will be happy. And it's just putting on those things that don't fit right. And, you don't really like it, but it's still in your closet, and you put it on and you look in the mirror and you're not happy. So I really just think it stems from what's in the closet, and having the goal is that my goal for my clients is you open your closet and everything fits perfectly and everything you love. And it's all from the current season. And that way you're just getting dressed fast and you're happy with what you're putting on, and there shouldn't be a problem with the mirror.
Yeah. So, right. That should be the least of your problems. When you think about business, because you just kind of put full force into these two businesses, where do you see yourself as having, using style to bring forward your confidence in your leadership ability for those businesses? Because it's hard to manage one, right? Let alone two, to say, okay, well, this is what's going to empower me today. Is it your wardrobe? Is it the fact that you don't have to stress about your wardrobe? Is it knowing that you're going to step foot into some sort of Zoom meeting and you know that you look good, so you're going to, express yourself even better? Where do you get your confidence through your style to project your leadership?
Well, this doesn't really have to do with style, but first thing I do is make my bed. And I feel like I make the bed, I can do this. Okay. Makes me feel, kind of organized and ready to start. I think partnering with a beauty stylist is great. If you're not comfortable with your beauty routine, partnering with someone in beauty and having them help you to pick out that lipstick color that makes you feel happy, or, a simple makeup routine is great. And comfort, I'm just all about comfort. I think, finding those clothes that you put on that make you feel good and you're comfortable in is just going to get you through the day, and it's going to make you feel great. I remember after the lockdown, I put on a pair of skinny jeans. I had been wearing sweats, whatnot, jammies. And I put on my skinny jeans and I felt like my legs were being strangled. I was so uncomfortable and I just couldn't get them off fast enough. Yeah. And so, everything have just loosened up in the fashion realm. And I just think, going for comfort. And there are free services as well for styling and beauty. Nordstrom offers them. I'd say, partner up with people, friends, whatever works.
Right. Well, so you mentioned partnering up with people and free services. You're actually starting to work with the trans community. And part of that is on a free basis, at least during some parts of your work week. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, I worked with trans women at Nordstrom when I was there as a stylist, and my heart goes out to that community. Starting, changing your gender and being comfortable in a store trying on clothes, it is really, really difficult process. And I want to help that community. And so right now I'm working with transgender teenage girls and helping them figure out their style. And they don't know what their style is, and they want to fit in, but they don't want to stand out too much. Going from wearing sweatpants to finding jeans. That's what I'm doing tomorrow with one of my clients. She's trying on girls' jeans for the first time tomorrow. She's been wearing sweatpants and t-shirts, and it's like, no, let's go. We're going to go to Nordstrom and we're just going to play. It's a safe place. Just try on. She's going to try on her first dress, her first skirt. And if we walk away with just a couple items, that's great. That's just a start. So yeah.
Being comfortable, number one, in your own skin for everyone across, all genders is really, it's a hard thing. I think a lot of times, I spoke about this in a previous interview that, we all kind of had a lot of time on our hands in the last 2 years, right? In 2020, 2021, we have had a lot of time to think about what we want to do, where we want to go, and presenting ourselves in that way is hard. Just on a regular basis, right?
Right. Let alone changing your gender.
If you are a transgender person and are battling a lot of negative comments that maybe you see online, or friends or family that are not exactly on board, or wherever that might be coming from, that is not a positive vibe you're feeling. I think that it just adds a lot of weight, and if style can bring out you,
yes,
and how good that makes you feel, then more power to you. So I am so excited to hear that you are working with the transgender community, in addition to so many other things that you are doing. So I just want people to know about your Belle River clothing. If you want to check out her clothing, like we mentioned before, she's doing a line of linen right now, but there's going to be jean jackets and there are a whole bunch of other things coming. You can go to belleriverclothing.com. She also has jewelry on there that is to die for. If you are needing a signature piece, I just actually put this on Instagram. I said, what is your signature piece for September? Like, what are you transitioning to from this hot girl summer? Like to your signature element? Is it feathers? Is it leather? I know she's got a lot of different cuffs and things like that on her website. So you have homework to do. I'm giving every viewer homework to do. You can go to belleriverclothing.com to check her out on her designs, but also she is helping people with their personal styling. So if you want to go to her vianstudios.com, you will see all of her personal styling packages, from just cleaning out your closet to getting into your your executive suite look, and getting it down. She has you covered. Do you want to kind of give them any kind of kind of a breakdown of what they would get from you as far as like the process of doing some of the personal styling experiences with you?
Yeah, well, it starts with the closet. And I have worked with clients virtually, as well as in person. It can be done virtually. And really, we start with the closet left to right. Let's look at it and see, what are you wearing? What are you not wearing? What needs to be tailored? Let's just get that hammered out. And then we usually end up with a list of items that are needed. And then I can help out finding those pieces. I need the perfect t-shirt. I need a new jacket. Whatever the missing pieces are, new boots for fall. Finding those pieces, and then getting the stuff. If it is an in-person thing, it's getting the stuff out of there and figuring out, is it going to a consignment store? Is it going to be donated? Is it going to go to a resale? There's all different choices. But yeah, like I said, the end goal is you open your closet and everything fits perfectly and you love it all. That's where we want to get. It's just like, we're all busy people. We just don't need to be duking it out in the morning.
I don't need to. I really don't. Everybody has other things to do than worry about, do I need to look through this dreaded mess again,
No.
or like me. It's so funny because my husband and I have two different styles of putting our clothes away. His drawers are like neat, pristine, categorized. And I'm like, is this the folding that's mine? Okay. into the drawer, like no sort of categorization at all. It's just like, do I need a tank top? Okay, let me see if one's in there. That's
Right.
me. So it's so funny. It's kind of like the opposites attract that way. But there's a rhyme and reason to why I do it. Because for me, some of the stuff in my drawers is not as important as what's in my closet. Now,
Right.
my closet is totally different. We've got tops, like a dress top or something like that on one side, dresses, pants, skirts, coats, you know what I mean? Like I've got all totally different, and colors, rainbow.
Oh, right. My mom did that. She had the color rainbow thing. Yeah.
Yep. Because for me, that's like, I need that to be organized. The other, I'm like, I'm just going to bed, my tank top, whatever. But I totally feel you. And I think for me, just like you said, if you can get up in the morning, have it be like, okay, I know what I'm wearing. Everything fits, put it on, bring you joy.
Out the door. Yeah.
Out the door, on the Zoom, wherever you're going to go. And you don't feel like you have that like 15 minutes of like, okay, you know what I mean? Then
but there's an emotional toll for looking at things in your closet that don't fit. It's awful. I mean, I went through that with those pants that I couldn't give up, but they were, I don't know, 2 or 3 sizes too small. Again, it just makes you feel so much happier and lighter, not looking at those things.
It's amazing what it can do.
And it's not easy to do on your own. It's just not, and if you get a group of friends to come over and help out, that's great. If you want to hire someone, that's great. Whatever, just get the ball rolling.
It's funny that you mentioned group of friends, because I was, when I was in my doctorate program, I actually was doing a lot of studying on e-commerce and marketing to online consumers. And one of the things that we had really kind of come to know is that a lot of people like to shop with a best friend or with a family member that can say yes or no to different things. It's kind of like, co-signing your purchase, right? And so if you can get an expert, like Lisa here, to co-sign on the ones that you should be keeping and ixnay on the ones you shouldn't be keeping, right? Similar to when you go out to do the shopping. And a lot of people do that with bathing suits. Like they're like, come in the room with me, but it's the same. And really it's almost like you might need that extra person who's got your best interest at heart. Like a lot of times your friends and family members will be like, oh, I know you love it, so buy it. Instead of being like, that's not gonna rock this fall, right? And really being upfront and honest, which I know that you are with your clients. So you totally reminded me of that. Just having that like co-signing of knowing, except for in your case, you're really putting these, your client's best foot forward in meetings and life, and having that sense of purpose going into planning your wardrobe instead of just kind of like hoping that it works and leaving it there and never getting to it, that I think is really important.
Yeah. You reminded me of something when you mentioned clothes. Oftentimes my clients have items in their closet that were gifts from family members or friends, and they really don't want to keep that piece, but they just can't get rid of it. It's too hard. But having someone come in and say, out, it's okay, it can go. Those are always interesting pieces.
Exactly. Well, all of her information is on the bottom over there. You can see vianstudios.com. Lisa Hunter, thank you so much for joining me on the
Thank you, Sandra. I appreciate it.
All right. Stylist Rinnie P, thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here.
Yes, well, so your website, RinniePstyles.com, is full of color. And so I wanted to talk to you today because we're talking beauty, fashion, leadership, and how we can really impact our business and really move it forward by bringing our authenticity to the table. Now, you bring yours in such a flavor that is like, I'm always looking to you at your Instagram and going, gosh, I wish I could do this. So how did you get kind of your start with personal styling and helping other people find their personal style?
So really, like, I want to say 2015 is when I really started like learning more about my own personal style. I knew that what made me happy was wearing color, and sometimes I would overdo it, but I definitely have learned how to like wear it strategically and make it look fun. And honestly, just playing around in my closet a lot. And I got the urge to want to do it for other people. Because a lot of people will be like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I could do this for you too, you know? So before you know it, that just kind of became something that I wanted to do and pursue, just helping other people bring color into their wardrobe. But I didn't know that that was a thing. You know, I was thinking like, I'm just going to be a personal stylist. And, you know, I didn't realize that maybe I could just specifically help people who love color. So yeah, so just teaching them how to wear a color that they already own or helping them bring those colorful pieces into their wardrobe.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, you know, I've seen people, which I've worked in fashion retail before. I worked at Sephora, I worked at Gap, I worked at Abercrombie way back in the day. And, you know, people kind of fall into the trap of wearing what is trending instead of necessarily not, or I should say, instead of wearing what they feel good in, which then in turn helps them feel confident, right? And so I've seen people go through the bell-bottom jean phase to the, you know, which is very cyclical, right? Comes back every, you know, 5-6 years, to, you know, all of the kind of baggy, you know, from like, we went through the decades of like the grunge to the, you know, the skinny jean to all of that. And so when you think about how to get someone to be comfortable with really bright colors, what is that process like when you're working with someone?
So if I'm working with someone that wants to wear color, they want to wear it, but they're afraid to wear it, I introduce it to them slowly. So I always recommend to my clients, hey, let's do it in small bits, because it could be overwhelming for someone who just, you know, just starting out wearing bold colors and all of that, you know. So I start off with accessories. So for instance, we can start off we can start off with a fun pair of earrings. You know, we can start there. We can go there first. We can do like a bold color handbag. We can start there and then we can like work our way in, you know, slowly.
Yes. And that is a great segue because you have your own earring shop, which is awesome. If you haven't had a chance to go to her website, check out her shop, because that might be like dipping your foot into the color sphere, of making that leap into bringing more of your inner color lover out. And I love your website, and I am going to continue to talk about it because a lot of people really kind of mask what their inner gems are. And I talked about this on LinkedIn the other day. I look at a lot of resumes, right? And, you know, finding different people for different, you know, projects and things like that. And I always feel like people are really hiding, you know, what really moves them, what's kind of their inner gem is what I like to say. And I always look at resumes and I'm like, what are they not putting on there, right? What are they not highlighting because they might think, oh, it might not get me the job or whatnot. And I always feel like on websites, people are kind of a little more reserved sometimes because they don't want to scare people. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's really bright, or, oh, I don't want, you know, people to think that that's what they're gonna, you know, get or whatever. But you have gotten this cohesive website together that just screams you. And it's basically, you know, some of the taglines are helping you wear color fearlessly, personal styling for color lovers. And I love it because I'm all about personal branding. And so when I look at things like that, and I'm like, she knows her, you know, what her expertise is, what her main assets are, but she's also letting people know, like, if you want to live fearlessly, you're coming to my zone, right? And so I love it. And I'm giving you this huge praise, because a lot of people are really scared to do that. And the way that you're doing it is by utilizing the color and white space, because you're not just saying color head to toe and, you're just, a little bit messy with it. It's intentional, right?
Right. It's definitely intentional.
Yeah. And so what do you think is a kind of a barrier entry? You talked about earrings and accessories. So when people move from the earrings to kind of like a statement piece or something like that, how do you see the transition? Like, do you see people smile more? Like, what is the overwhelming like end result that you're like, okay, I see that this person really gets it now?
Yes, they do smile more because color makes people happy. Whether you wear it or not, whether you like it or not, if you see it across your feed, you're gonna smile. It makes you happy. Color just makes people happy. And when you are not able to know how to put those things together to make that colorful style going, just like that bit of like, hey, I can wear these colorful earrings and it actually works for me. Like it's like a joyful feeling. It's a joyful feeling for me, for me too, when I get to see them like so happy when they like, wait a minute, I can actually do this, just like you said, you were like, I can't do this. I don't know how I can do this. Well, you can, anyone can, just like starting off with a pop of color, like your lipstick, for instance,
I love it, because I actually was just watching this girl, and I'm sure you've seen her. I think her name is Heb on the web now. But she has that song where she's like, having colored hair doesn't make you unprofessional, right? And it went viral. And it reminded me of you, because you have, this pop of color with your hair too. And a lot of times people don't do that because they don't want their work life to, feel diminished by people looking at them a little, differently, like, oh, you don't have the standard, blonde, red, or brown. And really, if it's self-expression, I'm always like, do what makes you live, because time is short these days. You know what I mean?
Yes, I scream that to the top of my lungs, because we life is short, and I say, hey, wear color.
That needs to be like on a t-shirt. Life is short, wear color.
Right. That's a good one.
It's the next item in your store. Well, so when you work with different clients, are you pulling from their current like clothing inside their closet, or are you picking different things out of stores? Or are you shopping with them online? Like, what's your process when you work with a client?
So I do a combination of both based on what they're needing at the moment. So if they don't have anything in their wardrobe at all that will help them create that colorful style that they're trying to obtain, then that's when we will actually go and shop for those things. So if you're just not in the mood if you're not in the market for shopping, then that's totally fine. I help you just put those looks together and create those colorful looks from what you already own.
Nice. Well, so I wanted to talk about, you actually style for people and brands. So when we talk about, and sometimes that kind of goes together, because, when you are a personal brand, you are a person and a brand at the same time. But when you work with different brands, is there any sort of different process? Because I know that you might have a much larger budget or something like that when you are putting something together for, an organization. So is there any difference in how you're working with brands versus, just a client coming in?
So yes, it's a little different, but it's kind of the same. So it's really based on what they are needing at the moment, but they would like me to bring my fun aesthetic to them. So maybe they are a brand that normally just does like, not to say boring, I'm not going to say the word boring, but I'm going to say maybe they are used to just one way of branding, and they just kind of want to go a different direction, just maybe for a specific campaign or something. Then I would come in and bring a colorful aesthetic to it, whether it's for video shoots or photo shoots, whatever that may be. And we will make that work.
Nice. Well, so I'm all for trying to understand how we can make every person that is like a small business owner, entrepreneur, startup, better at what they're doing. And sometimes that starts with getting up in the morning, putting on something that makes you feel good, and so that you can walk into any sort of boardroom or get online to whatever online meeting that you have and put a good vibe forward. Like a lot of times it's great to be prepared, know what you're talking about. It's another thing to be in a good mood, right? And so when you think about what you do in the morning to get, yourself ready and decide, because you probably, I can imagine what your closet looks like. like it's probably
It's
like
colorful. Everything is just so colorful.
Yes, and that's amazing. And so how do you choose, right? When you have, like, let's say you've decked out somebody's closet with every single, thing that they love as far as color and, matched outfits. How do you choose when you already have an entire closet full of everything you love?
You're saying, how do I choose with my own wardrobe?
Yes, because I can imagine that it is hard because everything's probably just flawless.
Believe it or not, I guess because I'm looking at what I have every day, and I guess I'm so used to what I have, and that's actually my most favorite part of the day, getting ready, because I'm like, what color scheme am I going to go with today? And it just kind of just comes naturally, and that's one thing I love, because I'm able to help people with that's not able to, do that, and I didn't realize that was actually a thing. That, hey, this is actually something good that you could do. You can help other people do this. So.
Well, so where do you get your inspiration from? Because when you are, obviously you get it from clients when you're working with them and, they're giving you feedback as far as what they love, what they don't like. But when you're thinking about, just on a trip, you're out, you're about, what is inspiring you to work with people or to continue, your own motivation?
I want to say just, I genuinely love helping people. And I think that's the first part of being a personal stylist. You do have to be a people person. So my motivation is always just, how can I bring some light into someone's day? How can I make you happy today when I'm working with them? It doesn't feel like a job. It feels like I'm kind of creating a kind of a friendship almost, because I make friends with some of the women that I work with. So it's just really, how can I make you feel good today? That's my biggest thing. Yes.
Like there's so many people out there that could use your services. And obviously I'm going to just point to the bottom of the screen. Her website is listed there. You can find her online. And always think about just bringing a little bit of that color into your life, because she can help you do it. If you don't have the, I would say the picking knowledge of like stylist knowledge that way, she can help you there. And she can walk you through the door. Walk you to the promised land, to make sure that you have that magical transformation. I thank you so much for joining us on the Style Symposium. Thank you, Rinnie P.
Thank you so much, Sandra. I really appreciate you.
Welcome back to the Style Symposium. I'm Dr. Sandra Colton-Medici, and I'm joined by my good friend, longtime collaborator, Nikki Dalonzo. She is a photographer, the owner of Create Curate. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, so we are going to be talking about some things that I think a lot of business owners really struggle with, which is creating an image that they want to share with the public, whether it's on social media, inside their media branding kits, things like that, where you're always going to feel like it's your first foray right into people's lives, whether it's on, taking an image and putting it onto your website and having it be the first thing people see. You want to make a good impression. And so I wanted to have you talk about personal style as it pertains to creating that perfect image, which is not really readily obtainable on any level, but really having it be something that we are, as small business owners, can be proud of, to showcase, whether it's on our social media feeds, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever it is that's going to be shown, and have a few tips that we can pull out of our back pocket and be like, okay, Nikki told me to do this. I'm going to do this. So let's get right into it and just talk about how you kind of gravitated toward photography and design, because I know you do a lot of graphic design and editing as well, so that people know what your background is.
So I started picking up photography as just like another creative outlet to have, because I was a professional dancer, and that's how I met Sandra back in the day, years ago. But side note, this photography was like my creative transitional career after I either got pregnant or whatever, and didn't want to dance anymore, which was 2 years ago. So I've been doing this about 12 to 14 years. Honestly, I can't remember how long I've been doing photography. But I started out doing, headshots and portraits of like family and friends and the whole gamut, trying to figure out what I liked, where I, fit in my niche and all that. Turns out I love lifestyle photography. So that's kind of where I put my focus. And so this is great for the whole style segment of how, you can translate your style into photography, and especially with lifestyle photography.
Well, so what would be something that a small business owner coming to you to do a project would need to be giving you? What kind of information would help you with a project to get the best results?
Well, the first thing you would want to do is create a mood board and have a shot list for your photo shoot. You want to create, everything from, finding the color that inspires you, from the setting, the lighting, is it natural lighting? Is it studio lighting? Do you want it a lifestyle? Do you want it editorial? Is it fashion? Is it, a commercial headshot, or is it an acting headshot? Like, those are totally different. So is editorial, so is lifestyle, so is commercial. Like, it's all different, and making it easier, any way you can to make it easier for the photographer to have a direction of how you want your shoot to go will help so much. So I always tell my clients to, first off, go to Pinterest. Pinterest, make a mood board, collect as many inspirational images as you can. Go to Google brands that you like. Look at their images, look at what they're doing for their campaigns. Do you like that? How are they dressed? Do you like what they're wearing? How are they posing? Like, these are all types of different mood boards you can create for yourself that you don't necessarily have to send to a photographer. Like, posing and clothes and accessories, that type of stuff isn't necessarily important for the photographer, but it is important for you. And knowing that what you're going to wear also can help the photographer find locations that, match those color tones that you are wearing. That can help too. But yeah, inspirational images, send those to your photographer, because those are very, very important. Because if we don't have those and you just say, oh, I trust you, do whatever you feel is best for me, you're going to drive them crazy, and they aren't going to know what to do with you. They're going to be like, okay, well, I can do anything, and they don't care. So it's not important to them. So you got to make sure, you let them know the importance and what it is, what the images are actually going to be used for, because that might be, whether they shoot, up close with a zoom lens or a wide lens. Is it going to be on a website banner? So you're going to want a large pulled out wide shot photo rather than a cropped in tight photo of your face, because that'll look just really weird on a website as like the first image if it's just its close up face. You want it like a whole picture of someone. So
yeah, those are
mood board, definitely.
Oh my goodness, mood board, you don't understand here. If you are new to this Facebook group or are joining us in another platform because it's streaming somewhere else, you should join our Facebook group. But we just did a Pinterest challenge, and we love Pinterest. So it's just like Google, except for it's a visual search engine. So you can just find so many things on there to be, pulling for inspiration and creating your own private boards. If you don't want to share anything, you can totally do that too. When you think about working with clients and just from your own personal performance experience, what are some of the things that are big no-nos that you've had with clients that have come in and you're like, we are not going to get the shot because of this and something, other than like an act of God or, like rain or weather or something like that? What has been one of the things that you're like, oh, if we could just avoid this, things would be so smooth?
Well, I would say lighting, one. You got to know the right time of day if you're shooting natural light. Like if the location is, especially for me, if it's direct sunlight, I don't like direct sunlight. I like, open shade. So I'm like, they want this, but the time of day does not work, I am not going to get the shot that I want. So we're going to either lose time trying to search for another location, or I just make it work and, you get what you get because you weren't prepared. So preparation to all of that, especially, is just key. Preparing everything on your end. With the shot list, like what type of shot you want. Do you want it 3/4? Do you want it close up? Do you want it wide? What's it used for? What's the image going to be used for? Is it just going to be social media? Is it going to be for your website? Is it going to be for your, email marketing campaigns? Is it going to be for a billboard or, sign banner for a corporate conference? Things like that need to be known too up front in order for the photographer to make, the shoot work, because so many things can go wrong and you don't want it to be your fault that you didn't get what you wanted. Because if you're fully prepared for the shoot going into it, and the photographer is well aware of everything you need, your needs will be met, most likely.
Exactly. Now, I know a lot of what we're talking about in the Style Symposium is bringing forth your personal style and being able to use, fashion and beauty elements to really have a larger impact on your leadership style. So because you have your own business and you definitely have your own style, what do you think you bring to the table as far as being able to showcase your personal style within being a leader of your business?
Well, I have red hair, I have tattoos, nose piercing. I love to wear vibrant prints. I just like to stand out. So if you're not wearing something that doesn't make you stand out or doesn't make you feel confident, you're going to blend in and you're not going to be memorable and you're not going to feel confident. So all of that translates into your photos. So you have to wear something that you feel confident in, that makes you look pretty, that the color matches your skin tone, that doesn't, contrast or doesn't make it look so desaturated, or you wouldn't want to put green on someone with yellow undertone skin. That just would make them look even more green. So things like that with your style especially is very important.
Definitely. And I know that you have so much experience, like we said, 14 plus years doing what you do now. And I would say many, many more in entertainment as well. So what's some of the takeaways that you could say of maybe one of the more successful shoots that you've done that you can say, if every one of them could be like this, maybe it was, we got to the shoot, 4 hours early and we were so prepared and we got in and out, or whatever it is that was like the hallmark of a perfect shoot?
Well, as I've been saying, preparation. If you have reference photos either on your phone or printed out, we can look at them easily and know exactly what you want to get, cross them off to make sure, okay, we kind of got that look, we kind of got this look. Even like taking photos of yourself in every single item of clothing, so you know what shirt, what earring, what pants, what shoes, from top to bottom of that style for that particular look is so helpful. And it also cuts down on your time because you know what you're doing. You don't have to think about it. Especially like locations too. Like finding a location that you know is going to work 100% and has also multiple different segments and places that can be translated and moved into different scenes for your photo shoot. That is important too. So if somebody has a location like that I don't have to search and go find, more power to them, 100%, let's do it, we're ready. You're prepared, period, prepared. Like, we love it as a photographer. We don't have to think as much. If you put too much time on us for thinking, there's less, we want to focus on our camera gear, on our lighting, on the settings of our camera. We don't want to have to worry about your style and what you have to offer. Also, to bring your personality, like show your personality when you're shooting, because if you're so shy and you're, you know, afraid to be in front of the camera, that is definitely going to translate, and that's definitely going to be harder for us, because then we have to direct you. So be prepared too to like let loose and show your personality and stand out the way you want to be seen.
Exactly.
Especially and translate in your photos.
That's a perfect one. Stand out the way you want to be seen, because it will translate in your photos. I think that is amazing. Put that on a coffee mug. I know that you have your own, we talked about your personal style as far as like what you wear, who you are, and how your confidence is, you know, shining through every day. But what about in your photography? We talk about editing a lot, and because in what I do for College of Style, we talk about design, but when it comes to the word retouch, I think a lot of negative connotation comes to that. But a lot of people forget that we are not just, you know, thinking about retouching like a person's face, but we retouch product images all the time, whether it's you wearing something to a photo shoot and maybe you have a logo on your shirt that has to be retouched and taken out because you don't have permission to use it. Or, you know, doing things where maybe it's food styling and you have to retouch every little bit so that it looks edible on camera. So there's a lot of retouching that happens that is not specific to changing how a person looks. But when you're looking at it from that angle of, I'm going to have a photo shoot, I need it for my website, I need it for my social media, I don't want it to have, a few things that I'm a little bit sensitive on. I know for me, I'm going through a little bit of a weight transformation. I would not have anybody slim me down. Now, that's one of the things that I would say is a no-no, because people can tell, people know, right? But are there things that you can do when you retouch a photo that might be highlighting something instead of trying to take something away that you are a little bit, you know, insecure of, or that you don't want people to necessarily see? So are there ways to utilize retouching that is more in a positive direction instead of in the negative connotation?
Okay, well, there's a lot to digest in there. So let's start.
To people.
That's great. No, that's great. So first off, editing. If you're going to post, I'm just going to say this as a disclaimer first. If you're going to post any of your photos that were professionally taken on your Instagram, please don't put a filter. That is not a representation of our work. And if you do, don't tag us. I'll just put that out there. And then also like Facetune and that stuff. It can work for social media, but please don't use it on your website. And have the photographer edit their own photos the way that they know how and the way that's best for them, because they will make you look your best. I would also say that as editing apps or software on your computer, Lightroom is my number one. I always color correct my images through Lightroom first, to make sure that the white balance is perfect, the color tone of your skin is not too yellow or too pink. And then also contrast. I love a lot of contrast. I love vibrancy in photos. It just makes photos stand out and pop. And then I would take that and then go into Photoshop and then Photoshop the skin and whatever, the details of the shirt, taking off logos. And when you make people smaller too, you have to remember that it's connected to the background. So that's how you see with like the background's a little bit blurred and it looks a little warped, and that's what happens because you can't necessarily make everything look amazing. It's not realistic. And also people don't like that, it's people want to relate to you. So don't make them relate to you because in a negative fashion, like you were saying.
What are some things that you typically see, in the editorial space, because I know you've worked in that as well with different companies, that maybe some people can use in their business, some of the elements that you see that are not always used in personal business, but you could pull from the corporate side into what you see for your personal style?
Well, you can always look at Pantone's website. They have the trending colors of the seasons there that are very inspirational on all platforms for everyone from fashion to photography to design. They always go to Pantone to see the newest color.
let's have you share your screen. I want to see some of your images so that people can see some of your work and get better, image ideas for maybe some of their personal looks.
All right, so here's some of my photography. I do a lot of lifestyle stuff, some for brands, some for just, creatives. So I will just scroll down so you can see some of the images that I have. These are all, you can tap them and make them larger. Let me just do that. Oh, that's my daughter. So here's some, this is like more lifestyle. This was for a t-shirt brand. This is for an esthetician. So if you're an esthetician, like the clothing you're wearing, holding the products, making it, you're not looking directly at the camera sometimes to make it more lifestyle, to show you using the products. Obviously I like bright, vibrant images and a lot of contrast.
Mm-hmm.
It helps the images to stand out more.
Well, it definitely does, especially when you're competing with a lot of the high traffic that there is on social media. You want your website to look great, but you also want to stop the scroll, with images that are going to inspire. Oh, there's Rachel. Love it.
What? Oh, Rachel. Oh.
Yeah. You back. Yeah. But you want things that are going to be eye-catching. And so, seasonal like this, obviously, the beach and all of that, we're about to transition to fall. So, it still means that you can bring the colors in, when you're putting together your social media and online presence. I think it's really important to have eye-catching photography. And if that means hiring a photographer to do that for you instead of selfies every single photo, then that means, investing in additional expertise, right? Because maybe you're not the best photographer, and maybe it means hiring somebody to do or capture what you do even better than what you've been doing so far. I love everything that she does. Nikki Dalonzo is amazing. She has done a lot of my photography that you've seen on my social media as well. But you can definitely find more of her stuff on createcurate.com and just Google her, because she is always, in the mix doing stuff. She's got books online. Tell people, because I want people to know more about what you do, because you have such an array of talent. What exactly are you doing with Amazon, and how you're publishing all these new books too?
Well, obviously there's lots to do online, so I'm just trying to get creative and use my skills the way, where I can. So I started doing just some KDP content books. I did an Instagram planner. Actually, I did 2 of them. One is just for daily content creation, and the other one is to actually track your growth and know your numbers and what key performance indicators are throughout Instagram, so that you can actually grow your platform. So on my website too, I also have 5 days of photo shoot prep. And it's an editable planner and a checklist. So that can also be helpful too when you're planning your photo shoot. So there's one that's editable on my website, and then one that's paper version that's going to be coming out on Amazon very shortly.
Nice. So she's got an array of products. So if you are so inclined to do your own photo shoot, make sure that you download that photo shoot planner that she was just talking about from her website, createcurate.com. And then also, she's an amazing photographer. So check her out if you are looking to hire a photographer to do your media. She's amazing. And you can check out all of her stuff on createcurate.com. Thank you so much for joining me on the Style Symposium. Nikki Dalonzo, you're amazing.
Thank you, Sandra. You're amazing as well.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you so so much for joining us with the Style Symposium. We have a lot of different business owners that will be joining us, one of which today, I'm so excited to introduce you to Lorane Rhoden. She is very, very excited to be joining us live from Jamaica. All right. Thank you so much, Lorane, for joining us. She is the founder, CEO, and owner of Haute People. Can you tell everybody what exactly it is that the lifestyle brand Haute People is all about?
Hi, everyone. And I'm going to greet you like a true Jamaican. I'm going to say, Wagwan. So I pretty much just said what's up. So Haute People is a lifestyle brand. It's based here in Kingston, Jamaica. We cover fashion, entertainment, beauty, and we also have a feature called On Campus, and that is for university and college students. So we also cover events, and we also offer services like social media management, social media consultation, and that is the brand in a nutshell. Holistically, it's a lifestyle brand.
Nice. Well, so today we wanted to talk about how to position yourself for greatness in an alternative field and how that really translates itself into bringing forth your personal style in your leadership role for your company. Now, you have been really excited because this year celebrates the 10th year of your brand. And so let's talk about you kind of in that evolution from just starting out to where it has built itself to. Like, how do you feel you've evolved with your brand?
I've definitely evolved as a person and as a brand. Starting out, I had no idea that I would make it to 10 years, much less a year. And here I am 10 years later. And definitely, as you shared, my style evolved. I love fashion. I love clothing, but I didn't have a style that was unique to me. So my style is a bit edgy, classic, chic. I love black. You can never go wrong with black, as you can see. So it's classy, it's edgy, and of course, it's chic. So with the brand, I didn't know a lot about blogging, and it was definitely still new in Jamaica. But my favorite show at the time was, I think it was Laguna Beach. So after every episode, they would say, watch, read the MTV blogs. I'm like, what is this blog that they're telling us to read? So I went, I read it. I'm like, whoa. So it's a relatable, down-to-earth way that we can communicate with each other. So it makes the celebrities more human, relatable. We can literally reach out to them by reading and commenting on the post. So I have a Bachelor's of Arts degree in language communication, which is a linguistics-based degree. I love writing and I love fashion. So I literally just merged the two, and then Haute People was born. Interesting story about the name. We had a store in Kingston that we would go to in high school. And fun fact, we wear uniforms in Jamaica. You're not allowed in your uniform in stores, but we still kind of went there. Yes. So it was called Haute Couture de Dawn, and they had the most fabulous things. And I just love going in there after school, and they allowed us to go in there. We didn't mess anything up. So that's how I got the name. I just love. I remember that feeling that that brand gave me of sophistication, being classy, high quality. And that's like a little bit of how the name came together. It was definitely fate. So that's
nice.
That's how people how it came about.
That's great. Well, so you have been going 10 years strong. So what exactly, when you think about your personal style, the classy yet edgy, can't go wrong with, black, thinking about how that translates into having a phone call with different vendors or going to New York Fashion Week for the first time to cover it like you did for Fashion Mingle. Like, what do you think about when you're like, okay, I need to make an entrance, I need to make a statement. How is, what I'm wearing going to affect my confidence or my presence when I'm on the job? Like, what do you go through when it comes to prepping an outfit, getting on the scene, and really letting yourself shine through beyond the clothing?
Okay, so a lot of people tend to confuse fashion with style. fashion is just clothing. It's just clothes you see in the store and you buy it. But style to me is you infuse your personality with the clothing, and that's how you get your style. So my style, I'm a bit of an eclectic type of dresser, even though I still love black. So black is definitely the foundation. You can never go wrong. You can quickly transform that look from casual to dressy or whatever the occasion is. And for me, like in the later years, I have been using local designers versus going in store to purchase items because those are not one of a kind. That's in my opinion, versus supporting a local designer. And then also inspiration comes from whatever I'm watching. So I've been watching a lot of Dynasty lately with Dominique Devereaux. And I'm like, wow.
Okay, you went way back.
Way back.
I love it though. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes I remember it was Designing Woman. That's another old show from way back. And you know, they had the shoulder pads. Everything was just structured and everything was tailor-made and they looked amazing. So definitely trying to figure out your signature style. That's what I use to build that foundation when creating my look, so to speak.
Well, so what exactly do you think is something that would be your power look, right? When you want to make that, like, you know, I mean, business kind of a statement. What's your go-to?
My go-to, I literally found my dream jacket this year, as I call it. Actually a blazer. It looks like Balmain, but it's not actually Balmain. So it's white. And it has just enough padding in the shoulders. It has really nice gold buttons. And I was able to snag the matching pants. So that's a whole look. Imagine stepping into a room in full white in a Balmain inspired blazer. I mean, everybody has to stop and look. They're gonna say, who is she? She knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
I wanna be like her. I want to talk to her. So definitely my power look, all white. Opposite of all black.
Which
all
is
white.
great. Well,
Yeah.
so when you think about when you step through the door and you've got that power look going, how do you know, over the years with, you know, whether it's writing or, you know, thinking about what you have coming out in the near future, which is an ebook on influencer marketing, where do you get kind of that, like, the voice to represent the, you know, the style that you're, you know, oozing, right? Because I think a lot of times when we think about how fashion and beauty can impact, you know, our leadership style, it's kind of like, okay, well, I've got the look. Now, can I back it up with whatever it is that is my expertise, if I'm going on stage to speak, or if I'm going into a room to pitch, you know, a VC firm, you know, my business, or whatever it is. How do you develop that side for your business to make sure that when you look the look, you can still talk the talk, you know, like you're walking the walk, but are you talking the talk? Like, how exactly do you really get into developing that leadership to back up the look, right?
So reading helps a lot, and definitely being in the know. I always say it's good to know a lot about everything, because I can go in a room and there's a bunch of guys who they're football fanatics, and I would know just enough about football to get that conversation going. You have to be well read, you have to be in the know, and it helps to know a little bit of everything. And definitely ensure that it's factual and you're not just making up stuff, because people see right through you. And that's how the imposter syndrome creeps in, because a lot of people have that. And sometimes there's just that little thing that's missing to make you whole. So, you know, just be in the know what you're talking about. And also ensure that I'm constantly learning. Masterclass is one of those things that recently came out. You have Anna Wintour. All of these amazing people are on it. So just ensure that you're always learning so that you can evolve your thinking. Ensure that you are learning, because when you're learning, you'll evolve, and your brand will evolve with you as well.
Nice. Well, so I always think about who inspires some of the greatest, right? And so who is inspiring you when you're thinking about how to position your brand? Are you thinking about different fashion icons? Are you thinking about business leaders? Are you do you have like your picks among all the different industries? Like, who are you following that maybe we all should be following on either social media or reading right now?
Okay, so starting out, it was definitely Ariana Huff from Huffington Post. She was definitely up there because I love how she just started the brand. She evolved. And then when she realized that, she was at this stage, she really needs to step back and, get some rest. But recently, I would say Nicole Kane. She was Nicole Beachy, now XO Nicole. I love the evolution of her brand because she started out as a celebrity gossip site, which she grew from a tiny little room in her aunt's house, which was amazing, to this $1 million industry. She had all of this fame. She tore it all down and started over. And it has just been amazing to watch her grow and her evolution, style-wise and brand-wise as well, of course. Lauren Conrad, because Laguna Beach. Yeah, so Lauren definitely inspires me. I love the way she dresses. It's not like she's trying too hard, but she's really well put together. The pieces are well thought out. And I like Olivia Palmero as well. She was also on The Hills. I love her style. Classy, chic. It reminds me of Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast at Tiffany's.
That movie.
And here in Jamaica, or version of Anna Wintour is Novia McDonald White. So she's a top boss. She has revolutionized fashion in Jamaica and the Caribbean. So I look to her for a lot of inspiration. She as well has her signature look and style, kind of similar to Anna Wintour. If you realize a lot of these women, they have a signature look. So when you see them, this is Anna Wintour, this is Lauren Conrad, this is Novia McDonald White. So those are the people who have inspired me personally and business-wise.
Nice. Well, so I mentioned earlier that you have something in the works that's coming out very, very soon. So I'm just prepping everyone to keep your eyes peeled for her new ebook. It's going to be coming out very soon. It's on influencer marketing. And can you tell me, I know obviously you have this degree in communication, so you have all this writing experience from university, but also from Hope People for the last 10 years. And then now you're positioning yourself in this other author space. And so how did that come about?
That again was being in the right place at the right time. And of course, I'm going to use a digital marketing term, A/B testing. So yeah, so I've been having a series of live videos, I would say like in the past month. And every time when I have a Q&A, somebody's asking me about influencer marketing. Because other than my brand, I work in digital marketing. So I have both sides. So I don't like to call myself an influencer. So I'm the blogger and I'm the brand that's hiring the blogger and the YouTubers and all of these creative people. So I definitely would say I have expertise in this area. And I realize that a lot of people, they're getting into influencer marketing, but they don't really know what it is exactly. Because a lot of people think that once you have a large following, you're automatically an influencer, which is not true. Definitely not true. So I just want to talk about influencer marketing, what it is, how you can grow, definitely how you can position yourself to create your own brand. So that's how it came about. So it's just like the basics, but it's a step up from the basics.
Nice. Well, so you have this, the ebook coming out, but you also publish, I think you said you have one issue a year that comes out of Hope People as a magazine. Is that right?
Correct. It's a digital publication.
Right, exactly. So when is the next magazine coming out?
So that should be coming out between the 22nd or the 23rd, thereabout, because that's our anniversary. And September is actually fashion season, so it just made sense. Everything just came to full circle. So of course it had to be September.
Yes. Well, that's why we are doing this right now. It's September 1st. We are right in the thick of what it means to be on trend, but also what it means to be a little bit ahead of the game, because fall happens, the first day of fall is September 22nd. So you have that amazing day where everybody's going to be talking about, it's fall now, what do we do? And you're going to be like, buy my book.
Exactly.
Right. So we will definitely put a link into the private Facebook group for College of Style when your ebook launches, so that everybody can make sure to go and click on that and purchase it. But also, what exactly do you have up your sleeve for 2022? I always love to ask.
I can say I have a couple more digital products coming out. You might see a redesign of the blog. You might get a podcast. You might get a YouTube channel with some amazing series. So it's a lot of stuff.
Well, I think when we all kind of, we're forced to stay in the house, whether you're in Jamaica or here like I am in LA, we got down to business. So a lot of people really went to work. And so I can see from all of these, you might see seedlings that you're planting, that you've got a lot of things that you've been working on. So I really appreciate you taking time to visit us here for this very special Style Symposium. And for everyone who wants to take a look at her blog, it's at thehopepeople.com, and you can visit her today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Style Symposium. My name is Dr. Sandra Colton-Medici, and I am joined by my longtime friend, celebrity makeup artist, host of the Wake Up to Makeup podcast, and all things extraordinaire, Roy Haidar. How are you?
Hi, Sandra. Hi, old friend.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk to you because we are talking beauty, fashion, and leadership, and you have all of those things in your soul. You have worked on so many amazing people in the entertainment industry and outside of the entertainment industry, whether it's giving tutorials or actually applying makeup. I think that you have a vast knowledge in this industry to help people really navigate what it means to have that kind of uplift of confidence when they walk into a room, because they're bringing their whole self and whatever else they've used to enhance themselves, whether it's makeup or skincare, however else they try to, utilize the tools of the trade, as we will. So let's talk about some of the things that you've seen for business owners as we've kind of evolved through 2020 to 2021 and beyond. What things that people you've seen using, things that are maybe trending, or things that are on the horizon that we should all be using?
So basically now skincare has become an essential, or like more like a self-care. Just putting on skincare makes you feel better right away. And I love that because since I've started my makeup journey when I was like 16, I'm 26 now. Just kidding.
I love you.
Since, I started, I always loved skincare. I didn't know why at first, but when I would make a client's makeup, when I have skincare on her skin and foundation on top, it looks so beautiful. And then eventually learning more, I was like, oh my God, skincare is super essential for everybody, And the makeup world right now has completely changed, and it's like it's a constant evolvement with it, but skincare will stay the same, and it will stay an essential. And as I mentioned before when we had interviews before, you and I, as I said, makeup will change eventually, and the looks and all that stuff, but when you're using skincare, you have to be consistent with your skincare, and then that is really a self-care for me as as an artist. Like when we were during the pandemic, I was doing so many exfoliation and masks and facials and this and that, and I just fell in love with how my skin looks now versus before, because I didn't have the time before. So now I'm making time to really take the extra 5 minutes, for example, for my skincare routine, so my makeup looks so much better, for example.
That's so good, and that makes sense, and it helps you do the application even smoother if you aren't having to work around the rough edges or anything like that. I know for me, I end up being really dry and I'm like, or I love the red lips. So I'm always like, okay, now it's time to get the red off. And that takes a lot of, force because right, because you're kind of like, oh, it's long lasting or whatever, and so you're using things to kind of like scrub your face down. What are some of the things that when you think about you as a business owner, because I know that you have been contracted on like big shows like Dancing with the Stars, and so you think you can dance and all these other big shows, but you also work for yourself and you have freelancing gigs, whether it's for a wedding or whomever you're working for. How do you feel as a business owner you've kind of transitioned how you work now that we're in the midst of kind of this uncertain period?
I feel like it hasn't really changed much because when you get called on a job, it's called on a job. However, what's changed more is being more cautious and more respectful of your sanitary station. It's like you have to make sure that your mask is on all the time. And honestly, I thought of that. I'm like, I should have worn a mask way before the pandemic started. You know what I mean? Just because you just don't want to be breathing on your client's face, for example. So now it's an essential for me. Like I have to wear a mask, not because I have to, because I want to. When I'm doing a client's makeup, and just making sure like all my brushes are clean before I get to site, or just like very well organized and everything's very clean and there's hand sanitizer. So like that kind of sense changed a little bit more, but everything else honestly is still the same, not really any different.
Yeah. Well, so one of the things that you just brought up that I think a lot of people neglect is being very sanitary at home, right? With your own utensils. And that comes, down to cleaning your makeup, throwing away expired makeup, right? Or
100%.
I mean, I think a lot of people are like, oh, it doesn't expire. And I've looked at things and been like,
no, it does.
You're gonna be
and actually I'm glad you brought this up because I just found this really cool app called Beauty Keeper. And what it is, so anything you have at home, from skincare to makeup, you put in the actual name of the company that you have. Like let's say you have a Shiseido foundation, right? You look up the batch number, and it tells you when it expires, if it expired already, and how much time do you have. So that was really cool tool because I have so much stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how long I've had this for. So it's been helping a lot. So whatever's expiring, I'll just use it off as fast as I can before the due date, especially with sunscreen. That's the most important thing. Once sunscreen expires, it's not going to work and it's not going to protect you. So highly recommend it. Yeah.
Especially since our summers kind of tend to last a little longer, even though this is going to be the beginning of fall coming up in September at September 22nd or whatnot.
Yeah.
I think that we need to look at what we have in our bag, right? I think that's kind of it's a great question, is like, what do you have in your bag? And I think that some of the essentials that I use in mine that I always throw in my purse are mascara, because I always forget it, deodorant, because I'm always like, just in case, you just never know, right? And then lipstick, because it's kind of like, even if I only have mascara and lipstick on, I feel like I can perform, right? But when you think about some of the essentials that were not on that list, there was no skincare on that 3-item list, right? So what's something that you would say everybody needs to have in their bag that has to pertain to, if you went on a trip that's a day-long trip that you need for skincare essential?
I always have that in my bag, like regardless where I go. It's like in my bag every single day. I have a sunscreen spray. It's like a setting spray, SPF 50. So, and I have an eye gel. So even like, let's say you have makeup on, because the most driest areas on your face is around the eye area. It's like a very thin, very delicate area. So I'm super dry naturally. So let's say I'm going on a trip or I'm flying, because I do fly a lot. I constantly have that setting spray and the eye gel, so I can just press it on around my eye area, and it really does help with darkness or puffiness and dryness. And the sunscreen is going to really kind of protect me from this exposure and the rays. Those are the two main stuff when it comes to skincare. If I don't have any other choice, I'll take this. Yeah.
I love that. And then when you're looking at some of the things like utensils, what are some of the brushes that are kind of like the top 5 brushes you should have in your makeup bag?
Okay, so I always like to get synthetic brushes because they're very easy to clean. So if you're on a trip and you don't have your brush cleaner, you can just wash it and then it dries real fast. So I would do a blush brush for sure, a concealer brush, a blending eyeshadow brush, a foundation brush, and an angle brush. So the angle brush is great for eyebrows and for lining as well.
Nice. So I love talking about strategy.
Mhm.
If you didn't know me before this, I
Of
love talking
course.
about strategy. And I feel like this plays into an overall business person's strategy for putting their best foot forward, which is putting themselves, if they're going to be on camera, right? Even if they're just in person working with different employees, showing up and looking their best, helping them feel their best, right? Which is why we're talking about beauty and fashion in the sense of leadership. When you think about the strategy that people put in place with their makeup, I feel like a lot of people put themselves at a disadvantage when they don't, really build out what it is that they need as an essential in their makeup bag, right? And or they have never had someone like you, an expert in this field, really look over, okay, what are your skin tones telling me? What are the colors that look good on your face that bring out, or take, what are the things you're putting on your face that you should take off, right? That are
Exactly.
doing you a disservice or disadvantage, and not helping you put your best face forward. So as you look at that as a strategy, what would you say to someone who is very new to makeup or thinks they got it in the bag, right? Thinks they just like, I'm good, but maybe they're not necessarily putting on the tones that are going to warm up a room or whatever.
So you have two sets of people that are like, either I have no idea what I'm doing or I know what I'm doing, but you can tell it's all wrong. And they're so set in their ways, like I've seen blue eyeshadow with like a bright pink lip. I'm like, 80s is over. Let's just move on and something modern. And it's
I
your
love
face.
the 80s though.
I love the 80s
Look, I have
too.
some in
I
here.
know. I love it too. But when it comes to like, bright blue shadow and a bright red lip, pink lip and blush, it's like way overly done. So like, I always like to focus on the good feature on the face. And if your features are your eyes, let's focus on your eyes. If you have beautiful full lips like yours, Sandra, I'll focus on the lips, so it's like either or, because you don't want to take away. So you don't want your makeup to overcome your face. You want to just enhance it. So, and with people who really don't know what to do, that's what I'm here for. I always like to show them, hey, let me show you this. This color will look great on you. This, and just suggestions, and kind of start from very little and then build it up a little bit more.
Yes. And I do think that a lot of what people who are looking for in makeup to do for them is not necessarily a bad thing, right? If you are wanting to play, right?
Absolutely.
If you're wanting to figure out what is more of a business or professional look for you in your industry, that doesn't mean that you have to throw out anything fun.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I was talking with someone here for this Style Symposium who is in the military, and I know that we all think it's very strict and rigid and very conforming to the uniform and all of this, but there are ways that you can bring out your individuality. And I think that when we use makeup, especially, it's kind of like, okay, well, what's your signature lip color, right? Or what's your must have, is it the wing tip on the end, or is it I have to pluck everything away and draw my eyebrows in, like everyone has a signature thing. So what is your signature thing?
I'll tell you, makeup is a self-expression, 100%. You express yourself by you applying your makeup, so when you're going out, you want to do that smoky eye, you want to kind of zhuzh it up a little bit, and that's absolutely great. There's nothing wrong with that. For me personally, like if I do makeup on myself, I'm all about the glow. The skin has to look glowing. It's just like very earthy tones, very natural, nothing crazy, Same with my clients. Like, I love to see a glow on somebody's skin, because that's when your skin looks healthy. And when your skin looks healthy, everything else falls into place, regardless of what color you put on, how smoky the eye is. So, you know, for me, when it comes to skin as well, it's less is more. So if you have good skin, why do you want to cover it, you know? So we need to remind ourselves of enhancing our skin and makeup, not covering it. And because
Yes.
yeah, because
Sorry.
we've gone to that. No, you're fine. We've gone to that point that we have to wear makeup every day, and it's become like paste on that face. And it's like, you know, I see really beautiful women with gorgeous skin, you could tell, but they have so much foundation on. It's like, why? What are you trying to cover? You know? So I need to remind these people, like, you know, enhance it, don't cover it, you know?
Exactly. And I think a lot of times people do try to cover for other things, you know, and I think that, you know, sometimes it helps, but it definitely, you know, the more you can peel away, the better. And the more you can, you know, make things fun, make it fun. I think it's even better. When you look at your kind of journey on, you know, being in business for yourself, working for other people, what do you think has been like the best advice you could give for any, you know, small business owner?
You know, just keep being consistent with what you do, and try not to give up, or don't be discouraged, because I've been through that route, and it was a very tough one. So I always like to give my life experiences, especially with work, you know, and it's not an easy ride. However, if you're so passionate, keep that passion, because if you love something, you will get there eventually. You know, hard work will pay off, and you will get there regardless of how down you go. You know, there's always going to be a light in the end of the tunnel. So just be consistent, and then stay passionate.
That is really great advice. And the one thing that you reminded me of when you said, you know, stay the course, basically, is, you know, a lot of people think I shouldn't get in business because there's so many people doing what I do. There's too much competition. And I look at things like the beauty industry and the fashion industry as like, there's your example of it's okay to get into business, because you know how many makeup companies there are, you know how many fashion companies there are,
So
and you
many.
know how many people there are that are buying from
Yeah,
all of those companies.
absolutely. A lot of people do. You're so right, because so many people who own their business, they do get into that really, like, well, somebody has this makeup line. Why do I need to, you know, everybody has a piece of that cookie. Like, you know, it's not just be yourself and be authentic, and just, if you believe in doing this, just go for it, because don't think of what other people are doing. Think of what you're going to have that strategy and kind of work from there, you know? And again, that ties into passion. If you're really passionate about it, you will get there eventually. It will take time. It may a year or two, but it will get there as long as you're going for it, you know?
Yeah. And one of the things that I always admired about you, which is, I think, part of your profession, and I think hairstylists as well, people in the beauty industry, is that referrals are like your golden ticket, right?
100%.
And you know, if you are, you know, doing somebody's makeup and they see it in a magazine and it says by Roy Haidar or whatever, you know, face creator on Instagram, people are looking you up and going, oh, I need my makeup done by that guy, right? You know, so that
100%,
it's
yeah.
the same, it's that like word of mouth kind of a business, and you don't live and die off of that, but it's definitely part of how you get more business. And I think a lot of times people are looking at, you know, the big corporations, like maybe a Nike or whatnot, like you, okay, so everybody needs sneakers, but you know, that doesn't mean that you have to buy theirs. But when you think about makeup, it's like, it's a whole special experience, right? When someone
Absolutely.
does your makeup, it's like, I am the center of attention. I am, you know, I am the beauty queen of the day, or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
absolutely. It changes you completely, you know. Again, it's like a self-expression. You feel so good doing it. And you know, it's funny you say it's that word of mouth. It totally is word of mouth. Like Mac was a word of mouth, you know, and look at where they are. It's over $1 billion company. So it's all about the presentation. It's all about your consistency, your passion, and your work. And honestly, you have to be yourself 100%. Don't ever change, especially in our industry. It's very cutthroat. You know, a lot of people grow and then become complete different people. And I've never changed that one bit. I've always stayed consistent, and being genuine and helping other people will come back at you, you know?
Definitely. It will definitely come back, especially helping other people get to the next place in their career, I think is super important. If you make it to a certain place, getting to that next, place, or helping somebody get to that next place is really important too. When you think about some of the things that are on the horizon, so I'm moving past like where we're at right now, and I want to talk about 2022.
Okay.
Because
All right.
I'm
Please do it. I
yeah,
can't
please, right? I'm of the mindset that that we will be past, a lot of what we are experiencing right now.
Mhm.
And I want to know if you have, different feelers of what you think spring should look like for, what we should all be kind of wearing color wise. I know that one of the people in the Style Symposium panelists here that we talked about today talked about the Pantone website and utilizing that as kind of a helpful predictor. What do you go to as far as seeing, what will be? What are, how do you predict your trends that you're going to be utilizing for makeup?
Well, when it comes to color, I feel there's so many. First of all, now we're so much into tints, like skin tints. The foundation has taken a little break, which is great. So it's all about like the tinted moisturizer, everything skin infused products. So I feel like a lot of products that are coming out into 2022 is going to be very much into how is it going to affect my skin? Is it going to make it better? Is it going to help? Is it just color? So it's definitely going to be more of like a skincare infused makeup. And color wise, I feel like a lot of corals and pinks and just lights, very like light lavenders and stuff like that will be more in the season.
Nice. And
Sure.
you actually got me hip to a few different subscription boxes.
Oh yeah.
So FYI, if you are into trying new things, just to see what they feel like and look like, and get opinions if you want, from other people as to if it's your color, the subscription boxes that you turned me on to were Ipsy and is it BoxyCharm? Yeah, exactly. And so kind of, we do not work for these people, obviously, but it's one of those things that, if you're kind of like, I just want to play, right? I just want to play around and take a moment to see, what things feel like, right? Especially when you're doing skincare stuff. It's kind of like, okay, well, do I like this moisturizer? Is this, facial scrub too rough, or how does my skin react to something? What's your biggest takeaway when people are trying new things, to kind of avoid if they know that their skin is super sensitive?
Well, so I want to go back a little bit with Ipsy and BoxyCharm because those are great examples, because you have to fill out this form and it tailors it exactly what you're looking for. So let's say, and you go with the skin tone, under skin tone, what kind of skin do you have? Are you sensitive? Are you dry? Are you oily? All that stuff, right? And I literally get every single box I get, it's like exactly what I've been wanting to try, for example, or like, oh my God, this is a new moisturizer I want to try for dry skin that I saw, whatever. I always I'm always buying skincare, regardless if when I get it for free or not. I'm still getting skincare because I want to try what's new. Always try to, if you're very sensitive, let's say, always try to kind of go for the cleaner brands, or something that your body already has that you want more of. For example, hyaluronic acid. You're not going to break out from hyaluronic acid because your body produces it. So you know what I mean? Try to stay away from, like, if you're too sensitive, from really, really active ingredients. So those are going to be little irritants for your skin. Use Retin-A that is not really high in retinol. So, there's a lot of different ways you can try. And there's so many people now, like if you go to Sephora, they tell you exactly what kind of products you should use and not, because they will do all this analysis on your skin,
Yeah, they go deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so I know that you have a variety of what you do, whether it's actual makeup application or helping people figure out what colors they should be using, just kind of consultation. So if you want to hook up with Roy, his information is below on his end of the screen, but you can find him at Face Creator with all of his amazing creations on Instagram. And I so enjoy talking to you.
I love you, Sandra. Thank you so much. I always love seeing you and talking to you as well. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me, and we will see you in the next segment. Style Symposium. My name is Dr. Sandra Colton-Medici, and I am joined here today by my newfound friend. Her name is Pentené. She is a wardrobe healer and style coach from Journey Your Style. Thank you so much for joining me, Pentené.
Thank you so much for having me, Sandra.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. I want to talk to you because you have a story that I think I cannot tell this. I want you to start out and tell us how you began Journey Your Style and what was kind of the impetus. What was the reason behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. I honestly love sharing really how I got here because it has been a purposeful journey to get to this point, even, with my brand, which I've rebranded. But yeah, so again, my name is Pentené, wardrobe healer and style coach. I founded Journey Your Style and really branded myself as a wardrobe healer because I went through a very tumultuous time in my life. I endured narcissistic abuse, as well as I dealt with divorce trauma. And when I went to therapy, really to kind of, I want to say, escape what I was going through at the time, because it was like really a nearly 3-year divorce process. I found that I really haven't let go of childhood trauma that I experienced. And within that, I really discovered at that point just really more of who I was and why I went through what I went through and just the trauma that I was even experiencing as an adult. And I started to use my style as a creative outlet because I'm not sure that many of us know, but we are all creative beings. And creativity really is a way for us to really exude our power and really tap into our inner being. So it's very healing within itself to be creative. And so once I started to really tap into what I was already doing with style, I became more aware. I found that it was healing and that I was being empowered by, choosing wardrobe that I felt really identified me, who I was, my true authentic self. And I was able to heal my past wounds. I'm still healing, but being able to highlight my transformation. Well, first transform using my style, and then be able to highlight that transformation and become my best self in the process.
That is so profound. Like, I think there's so many people who have not tapped into some of the things that they've experienced that are limitations, I would say, to some people, and haven't turned that moment into an opportunity, right?
Right.
And I think that is something that is so amazing that you have done and that you are sharing now with other people. And that is so amazing because when you think about, there's so many times people think that, women are in competition with other women and,
Right.
they're not going to be helping, somebody, their fellow person, because that might, take away time from their own thing. And it's really important to think about how you can help other people. And you have done that not only with your transformation and just helping yourself, helps other people, around you.
Starts there.
Exactly. Yeah. But then also to say, I'm going to use this and whatever I've learned or however I've come through on the other side to help other people. And I know that you have this website called journeyyourstyle.com.
Yes.
You can see it on the bottom of her, under her nameplate. But how did you decide that was kind of where you were going to put these nuggets of nowness, like these amazing moments to say, you can utilize wardrobe or style to build confidence, to get out there, to show yourself to the world. How did you come up with that? Because it's a great, number one, it's a great name,
Thank you.
As far as like a brand, but also that there's real brand story behind it. Because I think that a lot of times we miss that. because I talk about personal branding all the time, is that we miss the story behind it. So how did you decide that that was going to be your platform, so to speak?
So because I was searching for a name, so I rebranded, because before my business name was Beauty Within Image Consulting. So I saw myself as an image consultant, but to me, I was in many different lanes. So I think that it, by you pointing out how, we feel like we're in competition with one another, and we're really not, right? We're in competition with our own selves. We're in competition with ourselves because we're trying to really identify who we are and and I think there's no competition if you're in your own lane. And that's by using your unique superpowers, right?
Yes.
And so that's something that I like to work with, women on, is like, let's really get to the root of who you are. And then that way you can build a foundation in your own lane. And then you're not in competition with others. We can all shine together. I know I kind of veered a little off the subject, but so really, Journey Your Style, that name was a name that I came up with several different names, and my brother actually helped me really identify that as the perfect names to really speak true to what I went through. Because life is a journey, right? Life is a journey. There's really no end destination. Like, we're constantly evolving. And that's really what the ideal was of journey, using journey along with style, because we're constantly changing and becoming our best selves. We're never done with becoming who we truly are. So that name to me was powerful and impactful in that way, to be able to say your life is a journey and so is your style.
I love it. I love it. And that's really important to think about, because as business owners, because some of the, majority of the people watching this will be business owners, entrepreneurs. What is something that, we always think about, like, what's our logo going to look like? Okay. What are our brand colors going to look like?
Right.
And then I think some of the last things that we think about is, what are we going to wear to show up? You know what I mean? Like, we're so focused on like the like shiny objects, right?
The external.
Right, the external, that what are we going to do for ourselves to show up? And so how because you have programs, right? You have there's a whole separate course on your website.
I have a course, and I have a closet clean out workshop that I like to do live. Yeah.
Love it. And so I want to take people through exactly what exactly are they learning in your course, and what does it mean? Because I feel like closet clean out is one of those things that we are never done with. I think my mom cleans her closet once a year. It is like a thing where everything comes out, and then we're like, what are you doing? Right. But it really is a healing process to either get rid of things or to put things in compartments to say, okay, I have used this and I need to move on from it, whatever it is. What is your process when you work with people, either through your workshop or in your course?
So the whole process is really starting with your energy, discovering your true self. And how you do that is by learning to tap into your higher conscious. So the very first process for me is what I believe naturally should happen, right? Before we do anything in life. So even when it comes to your style, it's like, how do you know what to wear? How do you know what compliments you? How do you know what really tells your story, or that exudes loving energy. It starts with who you are. Like, so we are really unpacking just really kind of what makes us us, right? Just from the beginning. And then from there, so it's again this journey, right? Then we get to the point of, okay, now based off of, you know, your personality, your values, your beliefs, you know, the things that you've overcome, the things that you're trying to overcome, your trauma, all these things, then it's like, okay, now we can figure out your style. We can figure out the colors that you should be wearing. We can start to figure out like your body shape. So we can focus on learning to wear different styles and also fabrics that complement your body shape. So you can learn to embrace your body, your home, your very vessel, right? Because all of that has a psychological impact on how you are going to approach life, your daily life. So that's pretty much kind of like a way that we kind of begin and then just go along on this journey of releasing and kind of like restoring.
I love it. Releasing and restoring. It's kind of that like embrace. Like if you can finally, when you said figuring out who you are, I think there's so many people who have yet to do that. And like, I'm in my 40s, you know what I mean? Like I'm still trying to figure this out, you know, like what really makes me happy, what, you know, what I enjoy, what things I can be like, you know what, I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm okay with putting that on the internet or whatever. Like there's so much that I think I am learning just on my own personal journey that I think that you can't know, like when you're 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, like you have no idea, you know,
you haven't experienced enough about life. So it's like you can't even fathom like figuring out like, okay, what does my energy feel like? Or what do I want my energy to feel like? And even learning to align yourself with the things that help you become your best self.
Yes. And even in that era, I think I went through the phase of like, and this is totally like sharing too much, but I think I went through the phase because I was a cheerleader in high school. I went through the wearing full brief panties to figuring out that like a thong existed. You know what I mean? Like having those and knowing like, oh, that makes your clothes look a little bit better, you know, or maybe that makes me walk and feel like a little bit more feminine or whatever. Just having those like transformational experiences. I think that people figure it out in their own time. And that's another thing that I'm sure that you help people work through is that you don't have to know it all right now.
No, embrace the moment now. Who you are right now. That's what because even for myself, that's what I'm learning about is finding and having that balance because it is possible. You know, we're taught, society teaches us things that are many times, most times untrue, you know, about life and about just really, again, how to just learn to embrace ourselves and not always look to the external and expect for the external to tell us who we are.
Right. Exactly. I think that that is so true. And then when we talk about you as a wardrobe healer, I want people to know that like you have you know, these services, whether it's through your wardrobe healing consultation service or actual movement. I know that you work with people through that to move past, you know, wounds that may have hindered progress and or hindered personal growth, you know, like there's so many things that that I think that we don't look at, right? We don't want to look at it because if we look at it too long, it's gonna ruin the day. We're going to not be able to get anything done. But it's almost like if you take a deeper look and figure out whatever it is, then it almost, like you said before, can empower you to do great things.
Yeah. It teaches you to be more self-aware. That's what I've learned with my style. It teaches me to be self-aware and evaluate myself, my life. And that's a big part of my closet clean out, is like learning and getting into the habit of letting go of the things that have been holding us back energetically. And so looking at because everything has energy. That's my motto. Everything has energy. We're composed of energy. Everything around us has energy. Our clothing has energy. Because when you look at your clothing, you determine whether or not, whether you realize it or not, right? You determine whether or not you want to wear that piece, that wardrobe piece, and you're thinking or you're feeling. So that's energetic, right? So you're going based off of feeling. I don't want to wear that color today, or I don't want to wear that particular style. I don't want to wear a dress. I want to wear pants. Like you are always leading with a feeling. So whenever my clients, or my sisters, I like to call my clients my sisters. Whenever you look into your closet, I want you to be able to look at your closet with joy. That anything that you put on, it creates this energy of love, rather than you looking at your closet and being like, this is all I have, or because that already puts you at a bad, like it already sets a not a good tone for your day, right? And then that's how you're going to, like, you put on the clothing, and then that's how you're going to move throughout your day. You want to move with positive energy, with power. You want to feel like you're honoring yourself.
Exactly. And that has a lot to do with, like you said, you want to move with that power. You want to help yourself be better throughout the day. And if you start off wrong, in a funk, or in just kind of like putting yourself at a disadvantaged place,
correct,
then you're not going to have that, the confidence to walk into that room, or to get onto a Zoom, or whatever it is, to put your best foot forward. What do you think is, when you think about, I put this on Instagram the other day, like not all leadership happens in a power suit. It could happen, how they have like those pussy bow shirts or whatever. I was like, or in a bodysuit, if you're a dancer on stage or something, like, what exactly is your signature piece?
My signature piece? You know what? I've been asked this question before, and I feel like I have like several different signature pieces, because many times I dress based off of my mood, what I'm feeling that day. And so I guess I would say I love wearing jumpsuits. Jumpsuits are pretty much a go-to because they're like effortless, they're chic. You can style them any way that you want. You could dress them up, you could dress them down. And then the color matters, the pattern, the print matters, because that also, has a energetically that puts you at an advantage. But I guess I would say probably more than anything, rather than like a signature style, I would say signature colors for me are things that resonate with my spirit and really kind of shows my contribution to the world. And it just really like mirrors my soul. And those colors would be like, like gold. Gold is big for me right now. I love wearing like rust, like a, teal color. So kind of like a, ocean blue, or, but it's teal. Gosh, I would say like, red. Red is a great color I love to wear. So it's just like different colors where I feel like really speaks to who I am as a healer, and the feeling that I want people to have whenever they see me or feel like they need to approach me. Because I noticed the difference too, whenever I wear those colors, that I feel like first complement my skin tone, but also complements, you know, once again, my contributions. It's always positive.
Definitely. And you
Yeah.
want to, I mean, if you are confident in your own skin and you are complementing that with whatever apparel that you've got on, and
Yeah.
then, it shines, you radiate out there. And
Right.
then I think that has another aspect to it. And I'm sure you talk about this with your clients, is that it attracts the type of people that
It
you want
attracts.
in
It
your
does.
life, right?
Like even like this, this color, like these greens, I
Mhm.
noticed too. Like I wore this top and literally everywhere I went that day that I wore that top, I wore it to my family picnic recently. Everywhere I went, everybody was like, I love what you have on. Like, just like, so to me, that was like, oh, okay, like right vibe, like the way that people approached me, it was positive. So
Exactly.
yeah,
You're
it
inviting,
matters.
like you putting it out is inviting it back in. So that's amazing.
Exactly.
Amazing. Well,
Yeah.
so how can people find you? I know that we have your website listed. And is there anything else that you wanted to let them know about your program or your workshop, and how you can work with them, or they can work with
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, journeyyourstyle.com. I have my my one-on-one services. So those one-on-one services is I have wardrobe healing consultation and session. That's kind of pretty much like we go from, I don't know, I want to say like bottom to top, top to bottom. So just the thorough, evaluation, and then discovering, and then, helping you find those pieces that you should be wearing. Optimize your style to become the woman you love. And it's exactly as it sounds, showing you, and really it's my wardrobe healing consultation, but it's more of, do it yourself, but you're going to do it yourself, and I'm giving you the foundation to do so. And that's wardrobehealingexperience.com. But again, it's also on Journey Your Style. And then I have my closet clean out workshop. It's a virtual group experience. And that's just with 10 women. And I wanted to do it this way where, I have like an offer that was a little less expensive, but a way for women to come together, because we relate, and, to show that we can work together. And I'm providing the guidance and support for them to let go of the pieces that no longer identifies or aligns with their best self, or create that energy of love. And then just showing them the process of how to be able to create wardrobe with that energy of love. And that actually you can, I would say, mostly find on my Instagram, which is at Wardrobe Healer. So you can connect with me there and see all of what I have going on, and just all the inspiration I post about style and healing and transforming. And then LinkedIn is where we connected. I'm on there. Yes. And my name on there, I'm Wardrobe Healer, or you can find me under Pentené. Facebook, I have a Facebook group, and that's Optimize Your Style. Yeah, I'm kind of pretty much a little bit of everywhere, but under Wardrobe Healer.
Yeah, wardrobe healer across the board.
Yes.
Sure. And like you said, I connected with you on LinkedIn, and I think it's an amazing place to work and connect with business owners, who are doing it. So if you haven't already connected with her on LinkedIn, I suggest that you do, because a lot of business is happening on LinkedIn, not just liking and sharing and, happy stuff, but actual people
connecting,
collaborating and doing things So, I always suggest that for sure. But if you want to work with her, make sure you go to journeyyourstyle.com, follow her on all of her socials at Wardrobe Healer, and make sure to just take a moment to take a deep breath, because I think that that is super important to anyone in business, that you take it in. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm
so
like,
important.
that was good.
Yeah, actually, that's a part of my course, my workshop. We do visualization exercises, we do breathing exercises. So that's actually I neglected to mention that, but that's actually the first thing you do in order to be able to tap within.
Exactly. Tapping into your true
Yeah.
self.
Yes.
Yes, Pentené, thank you so much for joining me on the Style
Thank
Symposium.
you.
And we'll
Gratitude.
be right back. All right. I am so excited about all of my guests today on the Style Symposium. Thank you so much to Dr. Miemie Winn Byrd, Phoebe Dawson, Omenaa Boakye, Nikki Dalonzo, Roy Haidar, Rinnie P. Rinnie P. Styles, Lorane Rhoden, Lisa Hunter, and Pentené Milner. I'm so excited about all of the content that we were able to provide to everyone who was in the audience today. And if you are watching on replay, make sure to put in the comments, any questions that you might have. If you wanted to reach out to any of our special guests today, all of their information was on their little nameplate. So make sure to rewind if you wanted to find any of their websites or social accounts for sure. They would love to hear from you. And also make sure to put in the replay, #replay. Again, my name is Dr. Sandra Colton-Medici, and this was so much fun. We will definitely be doing another Style Symposium in the future. So I want to make sure to extend the opportunity to join our newsletter. If you go to right here on the bottom, you'll see collegeofstyle.com. If you scroll on that page, you will see an opportunity to fill out your name and email and join our newsletter so that you'll get all of the updates that we have. And I apologize, there's a siren in the background, but you will receive all of the updates for all of our programs, workshops, summits, and special events just like this one. And I'm going to pause while this goes by. It's always live in here. And so when you sign up, you'll be getting the College of Style newsletter, which has all of those great opportunities. I also encourage you to join our private Facebook group, and that is located at facebook.com/groups/ the College of Style. I'm going to put up one special offer that we have for everyone, even if you are not part of our private Facebook group, and that is our holiday template bundle. We actually just concluded our holiday promo challenge, and we are producing some really great opportunities for people to get ahead with their conversion strategy by putting their social media together right now for the holiday season. So if you haven't had an opportunity, I'm going to post it here. You can rewind it and stop on all of the graphics. Our holiday bundle is only $47. It includes 21 holiday-themed Instagram posts, 15 holiday-themed Instagram stories, 15 holiday-themed Facebook posts, and 1 holiday-themed presentation. I'm going to show you a little bit of what they look like on these slides. This is the holiday presentation. These are the holiday-themed Instagram posts. These are the 15 themed or holiday-themed Instagram stories. And this is a sneak peek at the 15 holiday themed Facebook posts. And like I said, if you go to collegeofstyle.link/holiday-sales-bundle, you can get those for only $47 and take your holiday sales promotions to the next level. Get them ready, customized using Canva, and put those in your scheduler right now. So when the holiday season comes around, you're not worried about your social media. You are busy nurturing your audience and getting that funnel really tweaked so that you know for sure what's going to be coming in as far as your revenue, instead of making that a big guesswork during the holiday season. So I wanted to make sure that we talked about that, invited you to our private Facebook group, and also to our newsletter, which is where all of the buzz and the fun happens, where you'll see a lot of different things coming up. We have episodes on Fireside, the new social, I think they're not calling it social audio right now because there is video involved. So I'm really excited about that, where we are doing style and strategy episodes on Fireside, as well as some pop-up different chats on Twitter Spaces. So make sure to look out for that from College of Style. And if you want to ask questions, make sure you put them in the comments. You can also hashtag replay or send me an email. If you have a specific question for me and not one of our guests, you can send me an email at sandra@collegeofstyle.com. I am so excited about all of the guests today and so much great information about fashion, beauty, and leadership, and how it impacts women in business. Feel free to rewatch any of those segments again and share this video, this entire video, with your audience, because you may have gotten, something from one of our guests, and you may think that one of your friends, colleagues, or family members will benefit from hearing from any of our other guests as well. So please share it. I love when people share content because it gets it farther. The reach goes all way out there, and this is free. This is so important that women are empowered to go out there and be the best that they can be, bring that authenticity forward, and showcase all of their talent and all that greatness that is within you. I want to see it, and I know other people do as well. So I'm going to put up our socials. Feel free to follow us on any of these social platforms and tag us. Let us know if you had a chance to watch the Style Symposium, any guests that maybe you would like us to have in the future. You can follow us on Instagram at College of Style, Facebook at The College of Style is our Facebook business page, Twitter at College of Style, Pinterest at College of Style, and we're also on TikTok at College of Style as well. And then, like I said, join us at collegeofstyle.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter, and you basically have until the end of today if you want to register for this special event for the Style Symposium and still receive your gift, your free gift, just for registration in your email inbox till the end of today. So if you're watching this on a different day, that means till the end of September 1st. But we have so much stuff going on, and I appreciate you just for either stopping in for one of our special guests or for the entire thing. Share it out, save it, love it, and I appreciate you. Thank you.